What up, YouTube? This is your boy Gary Lamb, bringing relevant content on life, freedom, and a pursuit of wealthiness. And we have a panel for you tonight. Now, I told you I was going to bring this live your way because a lot of people was going crazy in my comment section saying I didn't answer the question, saying, "Well, does that give them? That doesn't mean that they should be accountable and stuff like that." And I'm like, look, we know all that stuff. I get all that. But I'm telling you why that we're in this situation. The black community is in this situation. What's up, Erica? I thought she was asleep. She said,
She's
"Hi,
sick.
Erica."
No,
Hi.
she's not
Hi.
asleep. She's sick, like
I
on her
thought she.
deathbed.
Okay, I thought you
Okay,
said
okay.
sleep.
Yeah,
I thought you
yeah.
sleep. But without further ado, let's just get straight into it because this is a very important conversation. We need to have this. We need to talk about this because there's a lot of miscommunication and understanding when it comes down to other communities. They really do not understand why the black community is in such a bad position. And if we try our best to just talk about the surface areas, you're not going to get it. Listen, we all know why we sneeze, right? You have to blow your nose and get the allergen out of your nose, right? We all know that. But if you're too busy trying to focus on the sneeze itself, you're never going to get rid of the root problem. The root problem is, in my opinion, is that there are far too many black women who think they don't need men to raise children. And I 100% disagree with that. So I'm gonna stop talking because you heard what I had to say, and I'm gonna open the floor for our guests. Well, let me first. You already know who Wally P is, right? We've had Wally P on the channel a couple of times. But we have So Sapiosexual. They're the two beautiful couple down there. We have Tiffany and we have Lamont. Now
What's
we're
going on,
going
y'all?
to they had a few things that they wanted to talk about this topic, but I want to show you the video with Adam Calhoun so you can understand where we're coming from. Yes. All right, so let's go ahead. I have it queued up for you.
White people adopt black children.
I got a question. Why are there so many black children that need to be adopted? My second question is, why do you care who adopts them and what color they are as long as they love that child and raise them right? And lastly, I see color. I see color. But when I see a little baby, I don't go, oh, look at that little white baby or look at that little black baby. These are babies. They haven't been filled with ignorance yet. Let them babies be babies and grow up to be good people.
Well, who wants to take the floor?
I absolutely agree with that, man.
Hmm.
Like, so I agree with him on a lot of things. Like, it is our responsibility to father these children. So, if we leave our children this out there, then other races is liable to come and pick them up. I think it's our responsibility. I agree with him. How do y'all feel?
So
Ladies
I do
first.
agree. I do. Thank you. I appreciate it. I
No
do
problem.
agree with him, and the reason why is because, unfortunately, our community is taught or in this thought process of we could just have children and it is what it is and whatever happens happens. But then what happens is we get upset when another community picks them up and they want to raise them or they want to take them in or they want to do whatever or they're not raising them right or however they want to say it. I feel as though, like my husband said, we are responsible for these children, but we're not taking the full responsibility. We want to have them, but we don't want to raise them. And I feel as though that to me is again another blind side or kind of what's the word I'm looking for? You're kind of like this rehearsed over and over again. Um, as a child, like, oh, a lot of people will raise, like, if you have these kids, you got to take care of these kids, but then you have the grandma taking care of them, or you got this one taking care of them. They get tired of doing it. So then it falls on the responsibility of other family members versus just the parents.
See, for me, I just believe that within the black community, it's prevalent that what's the word I'm looking for? We put negativity on a pedestal. You feel me? So just listen to the music that we have and everything like that. We actually put negativity on a pedestal. If you're incarcerated, now you have street cred. You promoting thought activity with this music. Oh, now it doesn't matter. Body, how much bodies a woman have and all this stuff doesn't count. You get what I'm saying? So it's like we perpetuate ourselves in a cycle where the more negative or ratchet a person is, the more validation that they have. And but what they don't understand that come with the validation is once you go into the cycle of, well, before I even go there, a lot of, and I hate to say this, a lot of women are prepared for the accolades. What I mean by prepared for the accolades are they're prepared for the wedding. They're prepared for having the children. Why? A baby shower come with it. A wedding come with it. All these accolations. People, oh girl, you get it, blah, blah, blah. All these celebrations leading up to what they don't understand is hard work. Hard work. Ask any fella here on this panel. You'll be like, yo, I'd rather go to work. Well, not every man, but a lot of men will be like, yo, man, I'd rather go to work than stay home with the kids. Like, yo, they drive me crazy sometimes. You feel me? Because, yo, you got to have patience. So now, once the children arrive, once the marriage arrive, that's just the beginning of the work. That's the starting point. See, they think that's the finish line. Bro, you just now starting the race. And when reality sinks in, that this is not fun and games, that I got to make sacrifices to make sure that this child is successful, it's no longer fun.
I agree
And
with that
guess what?
100%.
I gotta
You
agree with
have
everything you said there,
nobody
buddy.
you you have nobody to turn to
Same here.
but yourself because of the simple fact that all the celebrations are gone. Now let's see what you're going to do.
Not only that, I have to co-sign with that. We don't, as okay, and I can only speak for Black women. I'm not a man, so I can't speak. But as a
Mhm.
Black woman, we need to decide and choose the right partners. We're not. We're going
Facts.
according
Facts.
to what feels good, who looks good in front of me, my emotions, my hormones, instead of saying, if I have a child with this man today, do I really know him enough to really see if he can raise my child or be around with me? We're not. We're just going according to a feeling. And then what we're doing is we're promoting this in our children, as you said, in music and everything else.
Mhm.
Me and my husband had this debate the other day. We were on our way to a wedding. It's funny. And I can't stand an artist right now. Can't stand her. And the reason why I can't stand her is because she promotes this ratchet, you got to be this person, be, vulgar, and this is what's in. And I'm like, why are we thinking this is okay to promote for our daughters to look up?
Mhm.
And I don't, again, that's me because I feel like eventually one day I'm going to have a daughter. I don't want her to be thinking that that's what's in. Like, that's not it.
Right.
But again, we
Right.
as a
Exactly.
race promote this and we think we glorify it like, oh, she's the best, she got this, she got that, but we're not looking at the long-term effect that is affecting our people. We're looking at, oh, she's dope, she got this, she got bars, she got this. We ain't thinking about the long-term
Mhm.
effect of the kids. We just not. We're looking at what's working right now. And again, the
Yep.
same mind game they've been playing with us since we were young. We're adults now with that same mentality.
Well, that's where it comes from, right? It starts when you're a child, right? And the Bible says that you raise a child in a way, they'll go in that way. So if you raise your child to be ratchet, chances are they're going to be ratchet. So it's like you have to look at this is okay. I'm gonna throw this question out there because we're talking about the consequences, right? These are the consequences
Mhm.
of taking the man, taking the check, the government check over the man. These are the consequences. All right. Now, my question to the panel is, do you think if we take away that ability to take care of kids or at least to get the government check, do you think that Black women will eventually self-correct, or do you think it's way too far gone?
I think we're too far. I think we're way too far.
I
Mhm.
hate to, I hate to hear that. I hate to hear that.
And
I
and
hate
you
to hear
and
that.
you know
Unfortunately.
I
why
hate.
you
I hate to hear that, but I agree.
know
Oh,
you know why I think
oh,
we're too far gone. Is because if you can, which I mean, like the forces, because it seemed like this is by design. It definitely seems like this is done by design or whatever. So if it's done by design and you figured out that if you can play, because let's keep it a buck, women sometimes tend to do things based on how they feel. They do things based on emotions. So if you can tap into providing or putting in front of them something that looks good that can tap into their emotions and get them to react, they're gonna bite the bullet. Because think about it. If you have a girl that's on social media and she's actually dressing, carrying herself, holding herself to a high standard, not dressing provocative. She got like 7 likes, 6 likes. But then she turned around and see a woman that's dressing like a thought, all of this other stuff. And she got 2,000, 3,000, 6,000 likes. To her, she's gonna be like, yo, what's up? Maybe I need to do that so I can get the attention. Cause let's face it, attention matters to women. Paying attention to details and stuff matters to women a lot. So I think it's stuff like that that influence other women to do certain things because you'll hear a lot of them. I believe in my heart of heart, they say, well, I'm not doing it for a man. Yes, you are doing it for a man, but on top of that, you're also looking to outshine your competition because it's more women than men. So, of course, you're looking to outshine your competition, especially if you're on the market looking for a man. So, if you see people promoting having kids, this, that, and the third, blase blah, and how it benefit them with Section 8 and all this, and I get it. If you take that away, it may deter some, but not all. They still will go through the process. And like how we are now, they'll realize after they do what they do, oh my gosh, this is harder than I think. But I believe they'll still go with the process, and realize it afterwards that, dag, this was a bad decision.
I have to agree with you, Walls P. I think that I don't want to get your feet.
yeah.
I think that it's a lot to unpack here. I do agree with you. I feel like it was a plot for sure. And unfortunately, if we look around in our community, I know that we have a lot, quote unquote, to put it this way, that are here um visiting the conversation, so to speak. But in our community, we could look around and see that yeah, the plot, it works masterfully for generations. It worked.
Mhm.
Whatever was put out there, it worked. Erica P, it's good to see you. I was screaming in the background.
Yeah.
Um, I agree. And unfortunately, it's like more of the same because you have a lot of women. I mean, let's face it, men don't really care too much, even though men are super visual, super visual. It's more so the women that are constantly, I don't want to say henpeck, but like the women are getting at each other. The women are, backbiting, talking trash about each other, or hey girl, and giving the high fives. Either way, it's more women that are looking for the woman's response than for the man's response. You have a lot of women in the day when, those versions of myself, we would go out and stuff. A lot of women didn't care enough about the dude. They wanted to come out there and show up another female. It was, I'm out here with my girls and just, I don't want to hear you. I'm not here for you today. All of that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, it doesn't help because this generation now is a mess. All that's coming up now is a mess. And you have men, and I've heard conversations, we've been on the platforms, we've heard, in the chats and different things, and on other, social media sites and all that other kind of stuff. The guys don't know where to go. They don't know how to respond. If they give kudos to that, oh, they give them a name. If they don't, then now, oh, well, you're not any good either. Like they don't know whether to open a door or let you be, independent or whatever the case. The guys are kind of, on the fence. So as long as the women are presenting themselves a certain way, because these women of today have made themselves, they've made themselves to be a certain type of a caliber of woman, which I don't think is a very high caliber, but that's my opinion. To that particular caliber of woman, that the men of today are like, well, for me to be able to get a woman, I have to, as you like to say, acquiesce to that. I'm gonna, go that route. At least I'll get her. And so you have guys, like I said, they don't know if they are, if hey, they don't know if that's something that they should go for or not, but at least they get the clout. If that's, you know what I mean, at least they get, the likes, or so to speak. So then you have the women that are, who was it, um Tiffany, you were talking about an artist now who did
Yes.
something or was so it's like there's more of that. It's more of that than the opposite. And the more that people buy into this, listen to their music, buy that, like the more they, encourage this mess, the more replicas of that is around. You see more of that and real music and real artists and real DJs. It's like a foreign way off thing now to hear real music or to hear somebody or see them on the stage with their clothes on and all of that. That is the opposite. And now that's weird. And now all of this other mess is the norm. And so it's like, no, I do think that it is applied. I think that and I'm a hush for a minute so we could get in, but I have an opinion about that when it comes to the Black woman, so to speak, how we were duped. And what is that word? Say we bit. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
wasn't gonna say bamboozled, but
Yeah.
we were duped into it. Oh, well, you don't need him. Girl, you good by yourself. And so for generations, now I think this is what the third generations or more that bit into that. And so now we have girls, like you said, is a big thing. It's so crazy. I mean, most of us like 70s, 80s, some 90s kids. It wasn't all that to have a baby shower back then.
Yeah, it was frowned upon.
It was frowned upon. But now, no lie, baby showers are like weddings. It's a big event.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Chances are, because they know they're not going to get married, so they make a big thing out of the prom
Right.
and the baby shower.
Those are the highlights now.
Yes.
Prom is the highlight.
It
Yes.
is.
It's
Which is
insane.
insane.
Yes.
Yes. That's insane.
Oh
Because
my
I
God,
feel,
it's
and
insane.
I feel like, again, we are people. Like, we need to stop promoting all this stuff. We need to be promoting more of weddings and marriage, and we don't. So we make a big deal with these fake marriages, which is prom, where you get dressed up and you spend all this money, and now it's like, oh, well, it's fine, this, and the other. I went to one prom, and I'm gonna tell you this: my mom ain't do all that spending extra nothing. Ain't none of that. You were lucky that she had the money to do it, And I feel like my boys should go to their senior prom and you do what you want to do there, but we ain't doing all that extra stuff because at the end of the day, you're gonna get married. So all that money that I'm putting out, why am I pretending something just for a click? Because it's clickbait. That's all it is. And making you feel how you feel. Well, you can just get dressed up, put on the tux, have a date if you want to have a date. Don't have a date, I don't care. Just go have a good time with your friends and come home. That's all it is. It's a big party. That's it.
I have a question for the panel, right? Because I've asked people this and I still have not got an answer. Okay. I'm thinking back to my days as a youth or whatever, right? Because as a youth, I want to know, where did women wanting a bad boy stem from? Because I can understand how
That's a
men,
good
like, it
question.
started, like, I could understand how when
That
men
is
were
a
young
good
or
question.
whatever, this, that, and the third, and it came to them doing promiscuous things, this, that, and the third. It stems from two things: either the parents that you have, like your dad was like a person that ran the streets, so he's looking at it as, yo, like the dad in Boys in the Hood, where he was like, yo, did you use a condom, this, that, and the third, and promoting his son, to get his rocks off. You have
Mhm.
that parent, or you have your friends who, if you're dealing with a chick that everybody may not view as the cutest, so to speak, they may be like, yo, why you with her, this, that, and the third. So now you kind of like cast her aside or try and keep it hidden that you're dealing with her, this, that,
Mm.
and the third. You get what I'm saying? Because you
Yeah.
go by what your the friends in your circle are saying. So I get that aspect. What I want to know is, where did women get the bad boy mentality from? Because if you're coming from like a two-parent home, because most men, if you're coming from a two-parent home in our generation, the dads are teaching the boys, yo, keep your mind on the books and off the gals. The gals will come later. This, that, and the third. Now, whatever happened later down the line out in the streets with your friends, we get that that can happen or whatever. But with women, if they're saying like the mothers were teaching, get your education, this, that, and the third, blase blah, in our generation. That's what the mothers were teaching, this, that, and the third. Get your, so this way you don't gotta rely on a man, blase blah, this, that, and the third. Where did this I need a bad boy come into play? Because as a in high school and stuff growing up, the chicks were looking for like the nice guys were finishing last. And here, I love this clip of Tupac who broke this down. After I play this clip, the ladies, y'all could take the floor to try and explain like where did this come from? Because I
Oh, the
really
one with
17-year-old
Tupac.
Tupac,
I think I saw this one.
the little the
I
interview
saw this one.
that's who he was.
I saw this
I
one.
get a lot of
I
friends
know
because
this
I
one.
have respect for women.
Yep.
Ultra respect for women.
I remember this
But
one.
then, like I was liking this girl in Tam, and I'm extra nice, extra gentleman. I'm extra just like, oh, you're beautiful and you deserve the best. And she told me I was too nice.
Yeah, he was this innocent, almost, dare I say, somewhat effeminate type of dude, right? Like
Yes.
when you really look at that that interview,
I couldn't believe it. It wouldn't work because I was too nice. That was the ultimate stab in the back. So I went through a week of just going, forget it, I'm just gonna be like them. Because they seem to get the girls and they call girls the B word, and they smack and beat and they're getting girls.
he was a very soft person. That's who he was.
And I'm going, peace and I think you're beautiful, and they're going to me, well, I like him because he's masculine.
2 years later, he plays Bishop. And that character that he created with Bishop influenced millions of people. And he stayed in that character. Because I literally would see him flip-flop from one character to the other, because we would hang out, we'd play pool. And famously, people would say, your friend looks like Tupac.
Wow, your friend looks like Tupac. Now,
That's crazy.
I'm a quiet. I'm gonna just let y'all talk, the ladies.
What?
Oh my lord. Oh
Yeah,
my.
because
So-
because we want to know, where did this persona of I need a bad boy come from?
So I'm gonna jump into that. I feel as though a lot of that persona came from, again, people above us who have a narrative that are trying to destroy the community. So not only was it in music, it was in movies, it was in TV shows. Some TV shows had it. So there was a little trickle of it. It wasn't as heavy promoted as it is nowadays, but it was still there. And I feel like that is where the influence came from and started to kind of manifest in all these women's head, where it was like, oh, the guy that opens the door is corny. Oh, the guy that takes me out to eat and pays for the bill, he's corny. And now if you look at society now, he's completely irrelevant, because if you're nice, then you're this, you're that, and I don't need you for this. And so I feel as though there was a little bit just trickling and starting to trickle in that generation to make it where it is now.
So let me ask you this real quick before you chime in, Miss Lamb. You said the TV shows and stuff like that, right? So am I to believe that when I was in middle school and high school and stuff like this, that shows were promoting this? Because when I was in middle school and high school, I could remember the Family Matters of the world, stuff like that. So I didn't see shows that promoted this.
So
You know,
technically, if
so
we're gonna do
that's what
Family
I'm.
Matters,
Okay.
Stefan
Okay.
was the bad boy. Remember? So you had Steve Urkel, who was the corny one, and he was
True.
this, that, and the
That's
other.
true.
That's what I said. There's a
That's true.
trickle that we were not paying
That's true.
attention to that
You're right.
existed, but we just didn't think because he wasn't selling drugs, he was still the bad boy and the cool kid. So that is how this thing started to, the seed was planted in our generation.
Wasn't Stefan like bringing flowers and stuff though? Like, wasn't he doing
Yeah, he was
romantic
very
stuff?
romantic and
He
all
was
that other
very
Right.
stuff. We
romantic,
get it. He was
He
romantic,
was.
but he was
but
more
the
of the
concept,
bad boy type.
Yeah, he was the ladies'
concept,
man. He was the
He
one
was the
that got all
ladies'
the
man.
girls.
You know what I mean?
the
Yeah,
concept.
and Urkel
Right,
was just a flat out nerd, and it didn't
right,
really matter what Urkel did.
Stefan was
right.
like the sex symbol, right? Tiffany, you hit the nail. How's it called it? The nail on the head. Um, years of content and other stuff helps stuff. My brain helped me. But yeah, the first thing honestly that came to mind when you asked about the bad boy, right? What oddly was the movie Grease was it was the movie Grease, it was Dirty Dancing, and even way back is Clint Eastwood. All of that, right? That's what came to me. So if we look at it, and Walsby, you said something so key, and I'm sorry to say it this way, but it's true. And I believe if we just stay in our lane, both of us, men and women, we have an innate gift individually. And if we stay in our lane and rock our lane, it would work. You said women are emotional, and I agree. Not to say that men aren't emotional. Let's just be clear.
Mhm.
But in comparison, we women are more emotional. So if we look at, because right away I was like, oh, the movies back in the 20s, remember taking a theater class and we were watching a black and white movie from like 1920 or
Mhm.
something. And it was, Scarlett Johansson and all that. It was replicated. It was presented to us on the big screen, and that was brought into our home. So the homes back then. So if we look at it, it's the same difference now. What is the magnitude? What is what's more that we see? Do we see wholesomeness? Do we see, the TV going off at 10 o'clock? By 11 o'clock is, the screen. And do you know where your children are? It's 10 o'clock, and get, the honeymooners and all of that. And that's how it was growing up. And it was even more so to speak, controlled or it was different. Our parents, the baby boomers, and back, but it's progressively gotten worse. Yeah. So now here we are, where it's like you have to put certain things on TV. I remember when our kids were little in the early 2000s, it was like, oh, we can't even have cable. Like, it's like ridiculous. You won't even know what's going to come on the TV. And my husband like, that's it. We cut all of this off. We're going to get, that's when Roku first came out. Yep. And like the TV box, when you had to put the certain channels, like in the beginning, because it was like, you can't even watch TV with your kids because you don't know what's going to come on a TV. That was 10 plus years ago. So I do think that if there were, and I'm going to say this, there was a time where there were stay-at-home moms, which is like, it's like right is wrong now and wrong is right. Now it's like some catastrophe, and like it's even frowned upon, like, oh, they call them trad wives. Like, that's the thing. Like, yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. Yes, I'm a trad wife. What's the, you know what I mean? What's the big deal? What's the problem? Meanwhile, you're on your 5th baby, and how many baby daddies? Or you've decided to have no children, which is what they're pushing now. So I feel
which
like,
I think is worse, actually.
Yes.
Yep.
And the foolishness in our community, little by little by little, yes. And Eric, little by little by little, it was introduced, it was fed, because no conspiracy or whatever you want to call it is just gonna just be blatant, like, okay, this is the big plan. Let's just dismantle the whole family and destroy everybody. It's not gonna come out that way. It's little by little. And you have women that back then that were perfectly happy. Not to put it this way, remember with Eddie Murphy when I don't watch it because his mouth back then, but it was funny. Raw.
I
Right?
agree.
Eddie, you know what I mean? Sorry to say it that way, but you get these women and these different people that are saying, oh, well, you should have more, or why are you just at home? There was a whole generation of women that were okay with being at home,
Cosmopolitan,
with being the homemaker. Exactly.
Cosmopolitan. Mm-hmm. Now see, this is the reason. Now we're going to get to the point where the gloves come off for those of you who think this is only happening in the black community. Cosmopolitan
Right.
was directly geared to white housewives. Okay. It was designed to turn them into a commodity, which we have today. Okay. So we love to rag on the black community. Oh, well, why are there so many black? Let's look at this. And I said this in another video. If you think divorce is different from welfare, you are a fool. It's the same thing. You just call it something different. It removes the
Right,
man.
right.
Simply put, it removes the man, putting the power in the hand of the woman.
Yes.
This is why you have so many crazy things going on with these children. I'm not going to go to the sound bite because I'm trying to keep this whatever. If we want to go and go hard, we go on Rumble. But right now, the reason why is because we have so many men scared to make a move. They're terrified to make a move. And this is what really gets me when we have people of other persuasions thinking it's not affecting them. That kills me. You know, I sit here and I hear people saying, well, you got to take responsibility. It's not the system, but then turn right around and say, it's the system that's doing this to divorces and the family courts and stuff. I'm like, wait, whoa, back up. Pause. Why is it when our community talks about it, it's not the system, but when you talk about it, it is the system? I just want to understand how that works. You know what I mean? Because when I'm coming at you, when I throw these anti-feminist videos out, y'all want it hard. Y'all like, yo, man, you right, Gary, you right. As soon as I come and say, yo, this is the system. Wait, no, they got to take responsibility. Wait. So why don't you take responsibility for being a terrible father? Why don't you take responsibility for being a terrible husband?
Yeah.
Why don't you take responsibility for chasing mammon and chasing your ego and your prestige and your accolades and your car and your house? Why don't you take responsibility for not giving your wife attention? You know how many women say that I am I'm a single wife because my husband's never home?
Single mother, they say. Married. But
I'm a married single mother because my husband's never home. And your first thing is, well, I gotta take care of this big house so I can look better. No, you are chasing ego, sir. That's why a lot of these women are walking away from you because they are in these relationships by themselves. That's why the pool boy have an opportunity with your wife. That's why the mailman has an opportunity with your wife. You're never home. And I get it. You have to take care of family, whatever, what have you. But my point is that if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. I can tell you to take responsibility too. You just say that. Yes, I said that. Because this is accountability, right? You want the black community to be accountable, right? We are accountable. I've been accountable my entire life. Well, I wouldn't say that. I've made some mistakes. I made some mistakes, but that ain't the point. The point is that I'm responsible. I've been with my wife. I take care of my kids. Raleigh P's taking care of his kids. Lamont's taking care of his kids. So it's not the whole lot of us. It's just a selective few of men that's actually doing this. But for the vast majority, and here's the thing: we have to come out of our busy schedule, come home off of work to try to combat this stuff. Because we know what's going to happen if we don't talk against it. So that's why we're here, right? So I really want a lot of people. What's up, Lawrence? I want a lot of people to understand that, yes, the system has corrupted our minds, but we've allowed the program to settle in. We decided we agreed with it because guess what? It's fun to sin. It's real fun to sin. Oh my God, it's fun to sin. And that's why it's so easy. It's so easy. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but you can't trust yourself. You cannot trust yourself. Eventually, you're going to touch that cheese. You're going to want a piece of it, and you're going to go after it. Next thing you know, you will, oh my God, that was amazing. I want more, and I want more, and I want more, and I want more. Next thing you know, you got babies running around, and you scratching your head like, how am I going to pay these bills?
I think that's the point. I think that was the whole point of the plot in its inception. Because, and I'm going to put it that way, we're stronger together. I know even when we were separated, all that, we found that for us, it worked and it was better for us to be together. Because when you have a woman and she becomes a mother and she's left out on her own to fend for herself and her kids, she's vulnerable. And that was the point. I believe that was the whole point, to be able to infiltrate our community and our country, to really from the inside, and give the bait. Well, you don't really need him. Or and listen, it's the same difference, poverty, right? And then switch it to the other side, because you just said about the big house. Why is a big house needed? For what purpose? The fifth car, the huge house, for what? Because especially in Western culture, it's excess, more and more and more. Lawrence, we appreciate you. More. It's like the more they want, the more they want. It's never enough.
But see, here's the thing, and this is what I want the men to chime in on this, because a lot of men have
I'm gonna chime in.
yeah, we
I
got
got a
some
lot to
ego,
say,
we
man.
got some
I got a lot to
egotistical
say.
men out here, right? And the Bible says in Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiastes, that wisdom will not be accepted from the poor. If you're broke, nobody's going to listen to you. You're broke. You don't know nothing. How can you know anything? You're broke. They don't listen to people that's telling, like, yo, this is what's going on. I'm trying to explain this to you, but they don't listen. I have to come up and have the jewelry. I have to become Andrew Tate for you to listen to me. Andrew Tate was Andrew Tate before you knew Andrew Tate was Andrew Tate. But for you to listen to him, he had to kick people in the face. Now, what is wrong with that? There's got to be something wrong with that. I'm a man's man. Why? Because you kick somebody in the face? That doesn't make you a man. It makes you violent, but it doesn't make you a man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why is that so exciting? And that goes right to the bad boy thing, right? It goes straight to it. We goes to the bishop. All of this is based on my ego, how I want to feel, how I need to be the big man. And I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't had that experience. I wanted to be big man. Man, I bought me a whole weight set. Man, I was going hard, bro. Yo, Lamont, I was going hard in the paint, bro. My arms was huge. My freaking chest was that. I ain't never worked on my legs. My legs were small and puny because I only had the upper body workout stuff. I didn't have no leg workout stuff, you know.
Right.
But I was looking good, right? That ego that came with those muscles, I didn't need it. I didn't need it. I was very, very egotistical. My wife would tell you.
That's one of the times that we were getting separated.
Yep.
It was tough, because he became like, right. We spent a long time with each other. All of us are married. We spent, I feel like once we make it past 6 months to a year, it's like a miracle, honestly. And we go through these ebbs and flows, and we go through these moments that we're evolving into different people. And that particular version was one of the worst. Very arrogant, and attracted arrogant people like him.
Yes. Oh my God, the arrogant people that came my way. The arrogant women, arrogant men. It was insane how I was attracting. But I was repelling the people that I wanted, which was weird. I never understood that. So but yeah, there is a okay. There is it's over there actually. A picture is over there. There is a you got to pull up the yeah, go ahead. There is a problem that men have as well, right? We deal with our egos get out of whack. Our egos get out of hand. And that's why we go to this whole how many did you score last night? You know what I mean? It becomes that type of thing. So it's not just the women that's been affected by this. We've been affected by this too, this thing true too. Because when we grow up feeling like we're nothing, feeling like we're less than, feeling like I have my dad, so I don't really know what it's like to not have a dad. I know what it's like to lose a dad, but I don't know what it's like to have a to not have a dad. So maybe someone who haven't had a dad can chime in on this. But I know one thing, that when I lost my dad, I lost my compass, and I lost my sense of purpose when my dad went, because everybody was telling me to do stuff, but not telling me how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. So I figured out the best way I knew how. And it usually came out of anger, rage, frustration, all those things. So I want somebody to chime in on this. Do you
Well,
think that men have our problems as well, our, so to speak, welfare? Because it might be the big house, it might be the car. Just
let
because
me
it's
let me
not giving it to us,
Yeah,
we're going to get it.
it's all about design.
let me. You
It's
want
all
me to?
about design.
Can I speak on this quick? Can I speak on this
Yeah,
quick? Because I
I'll
just
let you.
want
I'll
to
let you
tackle
go.
some
Go
of
ahead.
the. I just want to tackle some of the stuff that were said or whatever. See, black folks are in this predicament because they chose to be in this predicament. Why do I say that? Because they chose to be in this predicament? Because the Cosmopolitan and all of that stuff that was written and all of that stuff were for those particular people. They did not write them for us. What happens is when you were oppressed, right? And now you are no longer oppressed, you subconsciously try to seek validation from your oppressors. Why do you think women were perming their hair and all of this stuff? Why do you think when black dudes would get around white folks, they're like, hey guys, how are you doing? Like, you want to get validation from your oppressor subconsciously. It's kind of like, because I'm Haitian Caribbean. There's a thing, right? During like when Haiti was enslaved, the French would not allow Haitians every year, New Year's, to have a type of soup that's called soup joumou. The French had that every year, every New Year. Once the oppressors was conquered and everything like that, they looked at it as every year, New Year, I'm gonna have it because you said I couldn't have it. And a comment that stuck out to me is, it's because black want a lavish lifestyle more than they want to create legacy. No. Again, if you was oppressed and they said you could not have these things, you're going to want these things to show I can have these things. Let a woman say, yo, you fat, you whatever the case may be, and I can't deal with you. What are you going to do? You're going to either suck it up and say, yo, it is what it is, or you going to hit that gym so hard to show her, look at what I became. You can't tell me
Bro,
nothing.
you ain't never lied. There's a
You
TikTok
feel
short
me?
that went around viral. Dude got his heart broke, came
Yep.
out Hulk Hogan,
Yep.
Ultimate Warrior, Randy
Yep.
Savage, all combined. Man,
Yes.
dude was
Yes.
huge. I was there. He went to work, bro,
Yeah.
and you
So
ain't lying.
so subconsciously, these are things that you innately do without even thinking. It's like second nature. And the other thing about the man with the big house and everything like this, men do things to attract women. That's as simple as I can put it. Women like security, women like nice things. Men are going to get nice things so they can attract women. Dave Chappelle said it best. If men could smash a chick in a cardboard box, you think they would care about getting all these fancy things? Absolutely not. Men operate in a fashion to attract women. Floor is yours, brother.
Now, so what you said is kind of like I agree and I kind of disagree. Like I do
Mhm.
think that as of now, it is kind of our fault of why we are the way we are. But we have to think back and we have to like look at the bigger picture of things, and we kind of got to go back to slavery. Back in 1712, there was a letter written by Willie Lynch, How to Break a Slave. And in that letter, he states exactly what to do. I don't know if you guys play chess, but we know the most important piece on that chessboard is the king. However, if your queen dies, then you start getting worried because your queen is the one that can make all the moves for you. That's your most precious advisor. So I'll go back to say that in that letter, it states how to break the female. So females been under attack since they came out here, or since we came over here, I should say. Females has been under attack. From the letter, it states that like they broke the female by raping her, by disrespecting the most alpha male in front of her. So they made her submissive so she can then teach her offspring, you know, to to um to follow, you know, the plantation leaders. So it goes all the way back from 1712. This is all by design. And like you, it's kind of like the modern day, like you see it in like modern day now with like these female rappers or these women that say, hey, I don't need a man, because ever since we came over here, we've been indoctrinated that men are nothing. And it all goes back. So all the viewers out there, just do a quick Google search, look up the Willie Lynch letter, and it states there. It's basically a document telling you, well, telling the plantation owners how to turn a person into a slave, and it all started by undermining the men and breaking the women.
Oh, I agree. I,
Mhm.
I I can't argue with that, right? And but you did say something that's a little tough. You said, um, can we blame the men for this? Well, we can blame the men who have knowledge of it, but you can't really blame
Mhm.
someone for not having the knowledge. You just said that they are trained to follow the leader, right? And that leader was the master or whomever. That and that's what we do. You look at a family of ducks. What does the duck do? Follow his mother, follow his parents. That's what they do. They're led to become ducks. So if you have a bunch of single mothers leading their children, well, of course they're going to lead their children to go to welfare. That's how they survive. Right.
Yep.
And if you got men trying to come in and help, they're like, "Oh, all I need is the sperm. I don't need you for nothing." And that's how that's how they think about it that way. Unfortunately, for a lot of men like you and me and Wally, who's trying to get this thing going, we're talking to a brick wall, right? They don't want to hear it. And here's why. Self-correction is hard. I
Right.
have to
I
say
agree with
no
that.
to what I'm used to doing. All right. And because of that, it's very difficult. I'm looking at Joker's comment here, and he says single men have no hope when you have greedy corporations and big government welfare programs. And I completely disagree with you on that.
I do
We
too.
have no hope. No, I don't agree with you on that. I think
I
single men
disagree. I
have a lot
disagree with
more
that.
power than you
I
think.
disagree with that comment that he said. I definitely disagree with Joker. Like
Yeah.
we do have hope. That's why we on
See,
this podcast, to spread the hope. To
see, I don't know
we
though.
are three men up here telling you that, hey, it is a better way. There is hope. There is good men out there. We are leaders. You got three leaders right here. So this is the hope.
See, here's the thing, man, because I can only speak for the black community as a black man. No matter how tough things get, the majority of us are like is gonna find a way to prosper. We're going to find a way to make it happen. There is no, all right, well, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here and not do nothing, whatever. Now you do have people who do have the hood mentality, who do not look to do better for themselves. They say, I'm gonna stay in the hood because that's all they know, and they're comfortable with that situation. But the average black family that actually lives in the hood is looking to get out of the hood. They just don't have the money or the means to do so at the time.
Or the knowledge to do so.
Exactly. But once they achieve that, they're out. They're not looking to stay in that situation, so to speak. So that's the main reason why I disagree, is because we've been fighting and struggling all our lives, and we just find a way to make it happen, to we're not going to make excuses to say, oh, the white man is holding me down, this or whatever the case may be. No, if I'm not successful, it's because I'm not allowing myself to be successful. I'm not putting in the maximum effort that I should, because we live in a moment now where even though there's big corporations, you still can make a living without being tied to a big corporation. So I can't
Absolutely.
agree with that.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Can I jump in
well,
real quick?
Well
I just
oh,
said.
go
want
right
to.
ahead. I apologize.
That was very what both of you guys was very well. What you guys said is well said. I do also feel as though the conveniency is easy to fall back into play because when
Mm-hmm.
you are in the hood and all you see is people in the same mentality, you don't see anything outside of that. It becomes a it's easy for me to fall back into a fallback plan because I don't have anybody telling me that there's more. I use my husband as an example because he's come from a very harsh background, but he felt as though in his head that he wanted to be somebody else. He wanted to be something different. He didn't fit in. There was something about him when he was younger that just kept pulling him. And eventually he was that person who he joined the military, got himself together, came out the military, became successful, met his wife, and decided that he wanted to make a legacy, not just make babies. And because of that, people look at him and they sometimes envy him a little bit because they feel as though he needs to be where they are or how they are or whatever the case may be. But there's also some people that actually look up to him and actually honor what he has done and what he's doing. But that's the issue because sometimes when you get those people that envy you, it makes you feel like, oh, maybe I should be doing what they're doing because then they'll like accept me again because I'm not being accepted because of the change I've made, or you acting new, or you acting different, and you brand new, and you don't want to do the things we used to do. Yeah, my husband says all the time. Jay-Z said, "Just because I'm from the hood doesn't mean I'm going to be kicking in the hood with you. Like, doesn't
Yeah.
mean I'm that person. I became a better person for a reason,
Right.
and
Right.
we have to understand we got to be strong on our own 2 feet to stand up and be like, look, no, I don't want to do what you want. No, I don't want to do that no more. I'm fine. Like I'm good, but we just don't. We fall back into that hole, and that goes for women too.
Now, can I
Well,
address? Can I address the elephant in the room?
is it pink?
Nah, gray, gray. I'm colorblind, so I would literally think the pink is gray.
I didn't know that, but I'm go ahead. I'm
Yeah, I'm
listening.
colorblind. Yo, you know it's funny too when you're colorblind. People start pointing out, "What's this color? What's that color?" I'm like, "Dog, I'm colorblind." Like
Right. That
it
sucks.
is what it is. Yeah, but I just wanted to tackle the crux of the conversation. How Mr. Calhoun was like, why are so many black kids are up for adoption, and how I'm assuming from his take it's frowned upon that white people are taking in black kids, adopting black kids. What does that, I guess, what does that say about our community? You feel me? Because our community is up in arms and mad about this. But if you turn around and ask those same people, are you going to take these kids in? That's when people are going to look at you with the side eye.
I really want to talk about that. Shout
You get what
out
I'm
to
saying?
shout out. I really want to take a crack at that, but read this one, baby.
Yeah.
Selma Haywood, it's my first time finding you guys. I must say, it is quite refreshing and enlightening. Thanks for being voices of reason in this space. Selma, we appreciate you. Thank you for being
Thank
here
you so
tonight.
much. I truly appreciate it. We really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Um,
Yeah.
I really need to take a
Stay
crack.
tuned. More to come.
Well, we about to rock it because
Yeah, go
Yeah.
jump
that
in.
one right there, that was hot. That was a hot question. How is it possible for us to complain for years that we're not getting any help from the white community? They finally do something. And you like, well, why are you? Let me just talk to all the white people / Caucasians.
Mhm.
I do not agree with that black woman.
Mhm.
I don't agree with
Exactly.
her. I don't agree with her at all. Let me tell you something. My wife and I, we've been talking about adopting kids for years. All right. And the only reason why we can't do it is because I came from poverty and we decided we was going to go the kingdom route. Kingdom route is the hardest route to go when it comes down to financial, because there's certain things that I just can't do. There's certain things that I just can't talk about. There's certain things that I just can't partake in, because what it's going to do is it's going to draw me away from God, and I can't do that. So there are conversations that me and Wally P can't have on YouTube. We'll have it on backstage all day, but I can't have it on YouTube because I know it's going to draw a crowd, and that crowd is going to draw money, and I'm gonna see those dollar signs, and I'm not going to want to say no to that dollar sign. I am still human. So there's certain conversations that I just can't take in. That with that said, yes, we want to adopt. We've been considering it for years because I think we're excellent parents. Our children are considered under the spectrum. That's another freaking lie that they give you. They put you in this box, and you're like, well, I'm a dummy and I don't know. And then you start believing that crap, and you're not. Both my kids are straight A students,
And they're awesome and
right?
handsome
Straight
and
A
wonderful,
students.
and they're just
They
wonderful
just
and
needed
so
some correction.
intelligent.
That's
And
all.
I honestly think that majority of us, all of us, I think that majority of us is some way and somehow on a spectrum. And that's just my opinion. As adults, I'm talking about. We all have our stuff. Mhm.
But yeah, that I just want to say I don't agree with that. I have a huge problem with that. And yes, I think it's got a lot to do with jealousy. I think it has a lot to do with jealousy. Jealousy is rooted into that heavily. For someone to be that upset and then turn around and watch people go live to give up their kids. This is what I'm saying. It's like, wait a
Yeah.
minute. The woman literally said that she wants to focus on her schooling. She want to focus on her health. She want to focus on everything, and she's giving away these children. They're not toddlers. They're not babies. She's giving these children away, and we already know there's plenty of kids in need for adoption. And the older you are, the harder it is to find a foster parent. So we know this. And she's giving her kids away because she cannot handle it. I see she what 5 kids, she say?
Yeah, so this woman
Yeah.
who I try not to. Thank you, Samuel, for saying that. Um Gary, he says, Gary, he's white. He's followed your story since Tim Pool linked your videos. You're an amazing guy. Wife is amazing too. I'd love to hear about your update on y'all. Thank you so much, Samuel. We appreciate you. This young lady, and I kind of stepped away from it because right, Charlotte, right,
Facts all
yes.
day. Facts.
Yep.
Listen, that's conspiracy
Facts.
too, because the more that they the more that they classify, the more that there is funding for that, and the more the communities and these schools and these different people get paid. It's a whole plan behind all
That's
that.
it right there. That's it.
I'm
Exactly.
trying to tell
They
you.
make
Exactly.
money from telling you that your kids is on the spectrum, and then they want to
Exactly.
give them drugs. They want to drug them up because they get paid even more from that.
Yep. And you notice like they put oh sorry. I didn't sorry. Go ahead, Miss Lamb. I didn't know you were talking. Go
I
ahead.
didn't realize I was muted. I was saying, go ahead.
My thing is like, yeah, it's like it blows my mind because it's like, dang, for every little thing, you're putting a label on them. You're saying, they're this. You're putting them on the spectrum for that, for this. So yeah, you're right. Like it's just mind boggling how every little thing they put them on the spectrum. But here's the question I have: the lady that did give up the children for adoption on Facebook Live, did you guys agree with it? Yes or no?
Okay, I've gone back and forth about
Because
it. Yeah, go ahead. Walls P, you were saying?
no,
You said
do
cause.
you want me to give my take on it? You want me to give my take on it? Okay.
Let her give her take first.
Where are you making some tea?
Okay. Go ahead.
What specifically is your question? Do I agree that she put her children up for adoption, or that she had the goal to go on live and do it? What's your question?
You could tackle them both because I don't agree with the live thing, but the fact that she gave them up for adoption is, do you agree with that aspect?
Right. For me as a mom, and I spoke about it. I did a video actually on it, which I don't like to touch this kind of stuff, but it hit a
Yeah.
nerve for me.
Okay.
I would say that, I'm still not decided on it because she had multiple fathers of her children. She didn't say his father, she said their fathers. What happened in the family that she could not go to anybody in her family to help with her children. There was not more given to it. And then come to find out later on down the line that I believe it was a hoax and some type of a way for her to make money, to get known, and all of these to get notoriety. It was a whole hoax. So it was just like that brick woman. From as soon as anybody with common sense, you got a gut feeling like that is a wasp or somebody, she did that to her. So crazy stuff on the movies and people do these things on purpose. That's what I thought it was. And unfortunately it was. It broke my heart. And so for someone in their right mind that actually feels that they could not do any better for their children, I don't know. I feel that it was a cop out. Me personally, as a mom, I know many mothers, like I said, many, and I'm talking about many, not even to say I'm one, many who have had health challenges, literally cannot make it. I can go on and on. This generation, I'm sorry, there's so many now. You're weak. You didn't do your job. You didn't investigate. You did whatever the case to get not 1, 2, 3. It's a cycle. That's just what you do. That's who you are. And on the 7th child, what do you want somebody to say? It's something that she did. Yes, Tiffany, jump in.
Sorry, I want to jump in real quick. So the issue I have is we're not addressing the root of the problem. The root of the problem is, as a child and as children, again, we're promoting that it's okay to have sex and to do this and to do that, but we're not looking at the long-term effects. And this is what I say when you're not a parent, and I'm saying what I said, and I say it for a reason. When you're not a parent and you're not there and you don't have both male and female in the household, and you're supporting go out there and have sex and go out there and make it feel good and all that stuff. Now you have these little girls, because I call them that because mentally they're not women yet, because they still don't understand the concept of being a woman. So you have these little girls having kids, and now you're at 6, 7, 8, and now they want the world to take care of their kids. But we don't deal with the little girl, whether it be there was something happened to her, whether it be mentally she wasn't getting attention that she deserved from her dad or her mother. We're not dealing with the issue of what environment she was in. There's different roots to different problems, and we're not looking at the fact that who was surrounded by her telling her, yeah, you can go sleep out here because you grown. You can do whatever you want to do. It's fine. You grown. Girl, go ahead. Like, go out there and fill your oats so you know what you want when you get older. That is the problem. We don't address the root, but we address the problem at the end. And I've been saying that raising children, I have boys I'm raising, and I feel as though there are key things my husband has to teach my sons. I can't teach them that, but I'm not going to tell them to get out there and have sex with everybody because it's fun. I'm not going to do that. As a woman, I can't. Because again, when you go out here and you have 17 kids and you looking at me and your dad like, well, I know what.
What you want me to do?
My parents,
I can't help you with this. What you want me to do at that point?
So to be very clear, I don't agree with what she did. Her method was
trash.
Her method, I was mortified.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna say I don't know, especially and when it comes to stuff like this, I follow the trail. I looked way into her feeds. I want to know what was your problem before you ended up here. She has a whole case of one of her previous baby's fathers who is deceased, possibly allegedly at her hand. It's a long story here with this girl for years. So again, I agree with Tiffany. She didn't just have her first baby and then, it was a mistake. It happened. It's not a mistake. It happened at the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. This is just who you are. And so for the ones that are like, oh, well, at least she put them up. At least she didn't unalive them. I think that's what we're supposed to say, whatever. She didn't take her kids out or whatever. She didn't make them suffer. She said she had to go to school. Girl, you're in medical school. You know how many people have gone to school full-time, work full-time, 2 and 3 jobs. That was a weak move because there have been mothers down through generations that have done what they needed to do to keep that baby. And it's even if it's just you and your baby, wherever you are, you're keeping your child. And in this Western culture, CPS is not a safe place for children. It's not.
Nope.
It's not.
I gotta say this now. I'm going to answer your question, Wally P, and I'm going to throw a bomb in the chat, in the panel, because of what Tiffany said. Let me just hit this point. the degressing that happens, the further you get away from authority, is why we have so many people that look at children the way they do. That's why we have the singing that we have. That's why we have the lip glosses with those names. That's all I'm gonna say. That's why we have those, because it digressed so much that we got this. And that's what the point was. At the time LGB or LBJ put that law into place, black families were strong. They was coming too fast. Same thing happened in Egypt when Pharaoh came along after I think it was Joseph died. He sat there and he said, "These people are powerful. They're stronger than us. We have to do something about that," which they did. And that's exactly what this government did to us, right? Now, do I agree with her move? Yes, I do. I think the kids are better with that agency than with her, simply because of her mental state. I think eventually something would have went down, something would have happened. I don't know. I just think they have a better shot with that agency. Now, her motives, who cares? That's not my problem. She did it. She got it out of the way. Boom. All right. That. Here's the mom. Tiff, you said we have young women who don't really know what it's like to be ladies. They haven't been taught or trained by their mothers properly, and they're getting with these dudes that don't know what they're doing either. Do you think older men should start dating younger women to teach them how to be women? There's the
No,
mom.
I don't think
Oh, let's get into
we we
why
need
is
to
that?
be we need to hold each other accountable. Accountability is the biggest word people are afraid of, because that means I have to look at myself and I have to admit that I have something wrong. And until we stop agreeing and pacifying and saying it's okay, then that's what the issue. Now, do I feel as though people are like, let's say two 18-year-olds getting together, right? And they don't know nothing about life, but they're learning it together. The difference is they're learning it together. So they're on the same level. So they're growing together. One may be going a little faster than the other, but they're still willing to help each other out. The issue we have is that accountability part. So if me as the woman, I say something to the guy that I'm dating and I'm like, hey, I don't like A, B, and C, instead of being attacked, it's more like, all right, let me see what if I'm doing that or not. We don't want to take accountability. So then we start to become these people as we get older and mature, because we understand the key of accountability. So if you get with somebody who's used to being accountable of their actions and used to going through all that stuff, you won't have that problem, because y'all both on the same exact level. Y'all both holding each other accountable. You're holding yourself as well as that person.
But you do realize that they have to be taught that, right? How do you
Right.
learn
So
something that you don't? But that's what I'm saying. You're saying keep each other accountable. I
right.
agree, but they don't know what accountability is.
So where's the parents? That's the problem. We don't
But this
have
is the
both
point. The
parents.
parents are the parents are the children that are not
Hmm.
accountable. They're not willing to do what's right by them. They won't even get themselves together. Why? How are they going to get their kids together? Somebody said this. I don't know who it was who said it, but someone said this, that I think it was you, Tiffany. You said that Lamont got in a different environment and that he was able to get into. Same thing happened to me. We
Right.
got out of the hood. My father got us out of the hood, and I was able to see a completely different environment. I was exposed to something better, and that's how I was able to do better. This is why
Hmm.
I asked that question. If you have, if
Hmm.
you have, hood rat A dealing with hood rat B, they're going to produce hood rat C.
Hmm.
It's just inevitable to happen that way, right? So, and
Right.
you can't really argue with the mothers at this point because they don't know any better.
So I do also believe that there's always one person or something in your life that shows you something different. Whether or not you listen or pay attention, that is you. So that could be a grandma, That can be a cousin from another side of town. That can be, somebody in your household. I believe it could be a friend that's like, look, I want to go to college. I ain't trying to do all this. I do feel as though there's always one opportunity, because I believe God will give you an opportunity where he'll be like, I see your situation is bad. So here's the door. Now, whether or not you walk through it, that is on you. But I'm going to give you that opportunity. And I feel as though even when you're in the hood, there's something there. You may not think it's something, but it may be something that's leading you to something else, to make you like open your mind a little bit, like, oh, like, why was this book left, on the floor? Or why was this here? Or why was that there? Or why is my uncle talking about A, B, and C? Maybe I need to look into it. There's always an opportunity, but we don't open those opportunities because conveniency overtakes us than opportunity.
Oh, I agree
Okay.
with you. Joker, I agree with you. Dating women in general is a headache. It doesn't matter if you it don't matter where you go. It's a headache. Right? It's just what it is. But yeah, go ahead, Wally P.
See, here's my thing, because that woman giving up the child for adoption, to me, is possibly the greatest thing that I can possibly see for those children. Because we're talking about now we're in a society where we're looking at kids who lack respect, all of these different things, softer generation, blase blah, this, that, and the third. Who do you think our kids are gonna go meet? Who do you think they're gonna marry? Who do you think they're gonna deal with? Those exact kids. So now, if you're being raised by a woman that has this mentality, doesn't have accountability, all of these different things, what do you think she's going to bestow upon them kids? The baby daddies that she was with, she's going to probably trash talk about them, whatever the case may be, about them kids, which brings another cycle of negativity. Now, the reason why I believe she has hope, if this was true or not, I know everybody's saying it's a hope, but let's just look at it on face value. If this is what a lot of women go through, whatever the case may be, where they're like, yo, I can't take it with these kids in these single parent homes, blah, blah, blah. To me, that woman doing that is possibly one of the strongest moves to at least show she's willing to, what's the word, analyze the situation and make a decision not based on her emotions, so to speak. And the reason why I say this is because you have women who believe, like Miss Lamb said, it's a weak move of doing this or whatever, this, that, and the third. But I gotta say, it's a strong move because of the simple fact that if she stay having these kids and everything like that, right? And now she does go down the line of deleting them or whatever the case may be, blah, blah, blah. You have women who literally know, me raising these kids, I can't do it. But just the fact that everybody else is telling me, yo, it's hard, just do XYZ, let the kid live with the father, blah, blah, blah. Just for that, you want to try and prove everybody wrong, and knowing it's to your detriment, knowing it's affecting your mental health. All of these things, but because of what's the word? When you what's the word when like you try to, like, when people believe you can't do something, so you're just gonna try and prove them wrong by no matter what. Dag, I can't think of the word.
Defiance.
Yeah, not because of your ego. Because of your
Yeah, yeah,
Arrogance.
yeah.
ego, yeah.
Arrogance.
Because of your arrogance, ego. You're not gonna say anything. I view the same thing with a lot of these women who say, "Yo, I don't need a man." This, that, and the third. You've been crying out so loudly to everybody, all your audience, your people that follow you, whatever. I don't need a man. All of this stuff. But when you go rest your head at night and reality hit, you're so far into your ego and trying to carry this persona that you have to keep going with it, or else your empire that you built on this lie will crumble. And I think this is what happened with a lot of single parent mothers, because it's like, yo, the father may be the better option. It doesn't mean that the child will be out of your life. it doesn't mean that. But I think since women feel since they push the child out, no matter what, they should have the say in anything that happens with that child. And I
which
think
is
that
not
ties to
true.
but I believe that's what ties into the emotions of things, and it make them say, "I will not relinquish this power," even though it's probably a better option. And the fact that she said, "I'll come back later for them," means that, yo, I understand this is temporary. I believe that if a lot of single parents actually thought this way, where it's like, yo, look at their circumstances, understand what it is, and possibly the children growing up in another situation. And once they get their self mentally right, they'll come back and try and, ingratiate themselves in the child's life, this, that, and the third. I think we'll be better off in society. I think a lot
I'm
of
sorry.
kids will
Go
be
ahead. Go
well
ahead,
off.
Tiffany.
Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead.
As
Go
a
ahead.
mom, I feel as though you don't get a turn off switch. If you made a decision to have these children,
Mhm,
if I have a nervous breakdown and I was by myself and I had two kids on my own, I don't have the decision to just be like, all right, I'm gonna put these kids away for a little bit and then I'm gonna come back. That's not how this works. When you made a decision to lay down with a man, be an adult, let's all be an adult. When you made a
mhm.
decision to be an adult, you took those responsibilities on the moment that that man put a child in your belly. So I feel as though again we're not holding people to these standards. Where back in the day it was looked down upon. Now it's like, oh, it's fun, girl. We get it. Like life is so hard. Like, oh my gosh, like you need a break. We don't get that.
I,
Realistically, as a mom, it doesn't
I agree
happen.
with
Like
you.
I get it, but it doesn't
But
happen. So for
the
her to be like, I'm
I,
gonna turn
I,
it off
I,
and come back.
I, I agree with you on that aspect, but at the same time, not everybody think the way that you do.
not only that, the government gave you a way out. That's the
Yeah,
problem. The
And they
government
talking
gave you
about
a
the
way
welfare
out.
of the
So you can
kids. Like
you
what
can
is
say it
best for
all
the
you want, but you
kids?
do have a way out.
We got to think
Um,
about what is best for the kids in that situation.
exactly,
You get what I'm
But
saying?
exactly.
really
So like
going,
I get both. I get both sides of what you're saying, and I agree with both of y'all on a certain standard. But
Yeah,
in my opinion, I'm a man though, so it's probably easier for me to say. But I agree with the men. I think it's best for the children that she made that decision to take them take them away.
but do you guys know what happens in these homes when we get these kids? Like it gets worse. They're not safe. And that's why I say like I get what you're saying, but it's really bad.
But
Like I
the
had a similar
the
run in.
chance is higher of them being okay versus being in a messed up
can I
situation
can I can I
already
It's
can I
not.
can I
because they
can I
already in a
chi-
messed up situation.
can I can I chime in? Here's the thing, because I hear this all the time where it's like, well, it might be better for the kids and XYZ. My kid's mother, right? She think being hard on the kids, this, that, and the third, and teaching discipline, which of course teaching discipline and all that stuff is a major factor in raising a child, right? And everybody have the concept of a child should not talk back to you when I say XYZ, this, that, and the third. Because in the future, long term, it's going to teach the kid discipline, yada, yada. The part that she doesn't factor in is when she's doing this and apply it in every situation, you're now making the child feel like they can't talk to you. So now, even if they have a problem, because they know your mannerism where you think this is the right thing, it's actually not. Because there's not nothing that's universal for children. Because at the end of the day, are you in that child's head? Do you know what's going through that child's mind? Absolutely not.
Do you know
So
what that
when we
child is
sat
studying? Do you know what that
exact
child is learning?
so
You don't
so
know.
when
And
yeah, so when we sit down and be like, yo, having a conversation with the kids, and it's like, yo, why is XYZ? Because I feel I can't talk to mom. Because when I try to explain myself, she just shut me down. But yet the whole time is she's thinking it's right. It's what she's doing is the right thing. And the fact that it's ingratiated with her upbringing, and it's like, this is what made me the woman I am, this, that, and the third. For them, that doesn't work. And my thing is, I'm like, yo, I gotta try to guide you to not be that way with that approach, because if something happens to me, they're gonna feel they can't talk to you. And guess what happens when they feel they can't talk to you and they have a
Go
problem?
find somebody.
They're gonna look for outside sources. So you know what that means? Now you're gonna go to the streets and see if you could get street therapy for what you're going through. And the
And
whole
street
time
therapy
she's
trumps
thinking,
mom therapy
and the
every
whole
time.
time she's thinking, I'm being a good mom and doing what I gotta do. But it's about what's best for the kids. That's where
Again,
the feelings can, you know, make things difficult.
that's the whole point here. I'm gonna jump in on this. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna apologize. She was. I don't. And I do hear where you're coming from. I do.
Mhm.
That's why. And I sat with it even before this live when it happened. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, well, it's the best, the worst world, the worst world. What the better of the two. That's bad either way.
Can I say something
Um.
quick, Miss Lamb? Don't
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just hold that thought.
Go
I
for
just
it.
want to say, I know Tiff, right? Tiff, yeah. Don't think I'm like attacking you, and I'm just a person I get
Oh,
into
no,
the
no, no, no.
conversation. That's all. So
No, no.
Did you
so don't
watch?
think, you know,
Have
No,
you
no, no,
watched?
no.
Wait. Have you watched their podcast?
yo,
She tough as nails. Don't
yo.
worry, she good.
Okay,
Oh,
all
yeah,
right.
I
I'm
wouldn't
good.
bring
Like,
somebody
no,
weak here. Trust me.
Okay,
absolutely
I
not.
just
I'm
wanted
good.
to clarify. I
Mm-mm.
just wanted to clarify. That's
No,
all.
no,
It's
no.
not a
All
personal
love.
attack
It's all
or
love. No, no,
nothing.
no, no.
All right, exactly. All
It's
right, sorry, Miss
for me,
Lamb.
it's the people that's listening. It's for those that may watch this live later. It's this particular conversation because
Mhm.
it gives a pat on the back. It gives an out. No, it's not an out. Close your legs. Stop. Yo, don't give this girl any indication that you want to do anything with her because you can get it. Just stop. Take your time. Find out who you are. Because that's what happens. Now you have this baby. You're a baby. You don't want to be bothered. Big surprise. Who wants to be bothered? None of us want to be bothered. We love our kids, period. So, no, absolutely not. You did that. You got to deal with it. Have your breakdown. We all going to therapy. Seriously, I'm so serious on that. We're going to go to the church group together. We're going to the therapist together. We're going to figure out some insurance. Somebody's going to help. No, you're better with me. You did it. You had it 5, 6, 7 times. They threw you a baby shower or not. You went to WIC. They told you get your checks. Whatever your situation is, deal with it. Because so many women have had to deal with it. You are no different and you are not special.
Correct.
Deal
That's
with it. You had the baby. You wasn't telling him get off you. And for those that's in the peanut gallery and those that are way in the back, I'm not talking about the gray area. I'm not talking about you were violated and here comes the baby. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the 97% that is your right to your claim to yourself. Nobody can tell you nothing and get out your face and you don't need that man. I'm talking to her. You got to deal with it. You don't want the baby? Too bad. And don't go in that baby's face and that little boy's face, 7 and 8. I can't deal with you. Do what most of us mothers have done. You better pretend and act like everything is great. Be honest. Hey, baby, I'm going through something, but it's not your fault. You don't make that boy or that girl have to pay for your decision ever. I don't care until after they graduate middle school, high school, if they go get a GED or not. Ever. They better not ever hear you just like your daddy. That's your fault.
Right.
You chose him.
You made a decision.
You chose the baby mother. We got it. We're adult. We got to deal. It's time out for, well, no, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I've been ill. I could go through the list. I'm telling y'all. And it does not matter. God gives grace. Deal with it or close your legs. Very simple.
Miss Lamb.
Damn.
Miss Lamb.
That's it.
When
Miss Lamb.
when
Miss
I
Lamb?
said this
Yes,
a few
sir.
times, like
Yes,
when
sir.
you have a debate, the debate is, well, a healthy debate is to get a side to understand where you're coming from.
Yes.
And before like me being a man, I don't understand the aspect of being a mom. So that's
Yes.
why at first I definitely agree with the two men above here, the two men that's on this panel. But after hearing what my wife and what Miss Lady Lamb said, I got to tip my hat off to them, and I have to change my way of thinking because she put it perfect. Lady Lamb put it
Yeah.
perfectly. Like sometimes when you engage in something and you do something, you have to deal with the consequences. Sometimes you just do, and there's no excuses. So I changed my mind on that opinion. Like you two women are definitely right. Are definitely right. I can't argue
And
with that. I don't think
what I
anybody
want,
can.
what I wanted to say was, Miss Lamb, I would hate to get you mad.
He said, "I would hate to get you mad." You know what it is? That's that April kid coming out. No, ain't
Yeah.
nobody mad but the devil.
Wait, hold on. Wally, Wally, you don't know the half. I'll be sitting in here acting all Broly scared to death.
No, he didn't.
Like, you
I
better
did want
watch
to
your
say,
mouth.
Yeah.
Way from
Yeah.
way
I,
from.
You know
I
why?
do.
I'm
Oh my
harder on
god.
myself than
Yeah.
anybody.
Mhm.
Nah, I
So
can dig
if
it.
if if I can't give myself an out, you better believe you're getting no out.
Yep.
I'll give you grace. I'll give you compassion. I've taken them to the clinic. I've done that. I will take you. Let's go to the doctor. Let's figure out what you're gonna do. Other than not having the baby, because you're gonna have the baby. Other than that,
Yeah.
I'll help you. What do you need? We'll go get the baby something. Well, whatever the case. But you did that. This is the thing. We as women, we're the gatekeeper. We
Correct.
are.
Hmm.
Again, not for the peanut gallery of the gray area. Not that if you were violated, and to that point, I've known and heard of many women who were violated and still had their baby. So where's the excuse here? You did it. You decided to have this children multiple times. You're gonna have. This is where you put on your grown women. This what you do, and you're gonna
Hmm.
have to get through
I'm
it.
glad you didn't say the full
I
full.
was gonna
And,
say your
That
grown
was
throne
and,
or whatever, but
and
you're
you know,
gonna have to deal with it.
mhm.
But I
and
wanted to jump
you
into
know.
Wally, what you
Okay, go
said
ahead. Go ahead.
before
Uh-huh.
about giving basically a safe haven. So the safe
Yeah.
haven comes with the boundaries that you're setting. So if I'm your mom and I'm telling you I don't I don't accept coming in this house saying A, B, and C, and you still break those boundaries, there's consequences of you breaking those boundaries. I'm giving you the room to speak and to talk to me, but I'm not going to accept certain things. I'm just not. It's just this is who it is and what it is. And I feel as though that's the same thing with my kids. I'm going to give them a safe haven to talk, but I'm also going to let them know I don't tolerate some things. Things are just not happening. You ain't coming to me saying I'm crazy. It's not happening because I don't agree with that. You come in the house telling me this, I made a mistake. I slipped up. Yeah. So you know how I felt about that. And we're going to have this conversation. We're going to figure out the next step. But you know the boundaries and you know the consequences therefore of. I'm not going to be, oh, it's okay because it's fine. Because then what happens is you're promoting these children that it's okay to do all that. And they're going to go out there and continuously do it. Because it's going to be like, oh, well, mom and dad
No,
were
no,
cool with
no.
it. So,
Nah,
like,
I
it's
get that.
fine.
I'm talking on the front of you're so pissed off because you're disappointed on what your child did. And when your child try to explain himself to be like, Mom, it's not what you think. Let me say my piece. You're so mad and enraged that you don't even want to hear it. So you just shut it down. You get what I'm
Yeah,
You're
saying?
well,
talking
So
about the co-parenting with the mother that the child can't talk to the mother.
yes,
Okay, I got
yes.
you.
So that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. So when you like you're thinking a child shouldn't talk back because that's the way you were raised and stuff like that. So I'm talking about in that aspect where it's like some of the things that we grew up with our parents that we experienced, we just
Now I get it.
automatically like
Now I
bestow
get
it
it.
onto the child
Yeah.
and say, well, you're
Mhm.
supposed to take this. This is universal. And it's like
Mhm.
not every child
It's not.
responds, to that
Mhm.
type of teaching. Now you got to
Yeah.
adjust as a parent at a way to
Every
as a way
child
to
is
reach
different.
them. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. I wasn't saying, let stuff slide. Nah, that's what I was saying. But in her mind, she thought she was doing nothing wrong. And I'm like, yo, you gotta, fall back and try, to do XYZ. That's what I
And
was
to your
saying.
And to your point where you were saying, Walls P, about
Yeah.
and also Lamont, I know y'all have the baby and how and also and at the end of the day, it's what's best for that child. It's what's best for the child. So it's time out for my way or the highway, so to speak, when it comes to both of you co-parenting. We're both, I know that's like in the case of being your children's mom, but there's many who they're not in a relationship together anymore. You're both co-parenting. We're gonna have to figure this out
Yeah.
for this child, because regardless of, I don't like the way you did that, but is the child still communicating with the two of you? Because that's what you want. We want this child to have, no matter what, an open communication. And at the end of the day, again, this is what the whole plan, it was a divisive plan to divide the families, to keep the man out of the house so that the woman is more vulnerable.
Yep.
So then now you have this woman for most of the time, about I think 70%. I'm not completely sure of the statistics, but most of the time the child goes with or stays with the mom. So the child is majority of time with this mother, and the father is involved. They co-parent, and they have this communicative thing going on, but majority of the time this child is with the mother. That was not the original blueprint. That was not the original plan. It was supposed to be both, so that you have the disciplinarian, you have the nurturer. We're both, on this playing field together for the betterment of the family. But you have women now, whereas, well, I don't want to hear nothing from your father, or go to your father, or they're so done. Why? Because that was the point of him being in your life, to be able to discipline and make a balance where it would not all be on her. That's the point. For women saying, oh, I don't, yes, you need him. We need the male counterpoint part. Look, when it got to the boys a certain time, and you played that, I think a clip earlier, or no, it was somebody said something earlier because I was listening, that, it's just beginning. When it gets to a point, especially with boys, we have sons where it's mom, thank you. And I remember distinctly, when they were like 7 or 8, even before then, but there was a time where it was like, okay, we passed the baton, and it was my husband on the stage. And it's like, all right, I've not to say I've done all I can, but they need their dad. I could do the best I can. And I know many, and have known many men that were, raised by some strong mothers. Okay. They did well with these young men. It wasn't the plan, but they did well. But that was not the choice. That wasn't the whole operative thing. We wanted the men there. We need him, because these boys are going to need to know how to navigate their lives, and they need that by a man. They need that. And I think that ultimately we got to get over ourselves at the end of the day. The mothers have to get over themselves. The fathers have to get over themselves. And we have to come together and figure out, how are we going to work this out for this child's benefit? Forget how you feel about it. And I think that's the issue there, where you have so many moms. Well, I'm the mother.
Yeah, I can't stand that. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm the mother.
I hate. Come on, you won't. I can't stand that. I'm the mother. What does that mean? Like, you trump everything? Is that what that means? Because last time I checked, that trumps nothing. You're only mom to like 7. It's like, oh man.
Will always be
Right.
mom. But I agree
Right, I was
with
gonna
you.
say
But
You playing with fire with that one, bro. You playing with fire.
you see
I
what
knew
this,
how to handle my mom by the time I was 8, 9 years old, because of how my father handled my mom.
Tell them what you told. Because I'm seeing it now with even people that we know, what my husband told me. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I was asking him to tell them what you told me when the boys were, and they're awesome. They've never had behavioral issues, none of that stuff. But we're growing up, quote unquote, in the hood, not in a bad neighborhood, but it was an inner city.
Mm-hmm.
And tell them what you told me when they were growing up. I don't want to hear nothing else later.
Oh, yes. All right. So I was trying
with my dignified self as a mother back
I was
then.
trying to, and this is where the some of the hiccups of coming from a single parent household. She was single mom, came from a single mother.
Yeah.
So she came from this whole like mentality of fighting me every time I tried to tell the boys to do something. She constantly fought me. She got in my way, and I'm like, because she knew best, right? And I said, all right, cool. This is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to let you take the lead and do whatever you need to do. I will follow you, everything like that, no problem. But if one of those boys raise up and hits you, don't come looking at me. Because ever since at this point, you made it perfectly clear that you're the authority figure in the house. So they're not going to respect me because you're the authority figure. So if they haul off and hit you, you just got hit. I don't know. Because I'm trying to tell you how to deal with a boy, and you're telling me you know better, and you've never been a boy before. I've been a boy, so I'm trying to tell you what's going on in this boy's mind right now. He's dealing with this, he's dealing with that, but I know how to deal with that, and I understand that it seems harsh, but that's how fathers deal with that aggression. Okay, if you don't want me in, cool, but I'm not stepping in if he ever hauls off and hits you. And that was pretty much it. She got the message, and that was it.
And it was a long time ago, and our boys are not violent. They're actually really sweet and all that. But I
Yeah.
remember when they were younger, and when my husband said that to me, and I was just like, "Oh, you right, okay." and not even to be violent or anything like that, but the whole point was that when he said this back then, this is years ago. They're in high school now. But this is years and years ago. They were little boys. They were mommy's boys and all that. And it's like, that's cute now, but they're going to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to just be mommy's boy anymore. They're going to be young men. And you're going to need to know how to address them as young men. And you keep coming to them this way. I don't want to hear nothing. When they raise their voice, when that testosterone kick in, when they become teenagers, I don't want to hear nothing. And it was like, oh yeah, you're right. We both have our lane. You do what you're good at, and let him do what he's good at. My husband said something the other day. I was like, Dad, you're right. Especially if the husband and the wife are and they're in the same home. That's ideal. That is like paramount. That would be ideal. But if that's not the case, it's the mom that teaches the children to respect the father, to have honor for the father, to adhere to their father's teaching and his words. It's the mom that does that. The father, because truthfully, the father could come in, hey, I'm your dad, and be a tyrant. Okay, fine. But the reverence and the honor that is due to the father, that comes from the way that the mother treats the father. That comes from the way that the woman treats him. So if it's, oh, whatever, oh, you don't have to listen to him. Oh, well, I know what he said, but come here, baby. And because that's mommy's baby, a lot of women make their children, they create a lot of confusion because the father is the disciplinarian. He is the one that brings order in the home and all of these different things. But now you're mommy. So now you're pinning this child between you and the other parent, which is not what it's supposed to be. So it's no, dad said this. Well, dad said that, and reinforce that. And then you and dad, we go and talk about that and deal with that in private and not in front of the child. So the child will always know it's not one or the other. Well, I could do this with mom and, or I could just talk to dad. It'll never be that way because y'all are both on the same page together. But a lot of women and there are men too, but I'm talking about for women because I've seen it. It's not even like it's something off the wall. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to listen to the dad and the mom says thus and so. And the kids are looking at the mom like, okay, mom. And the dad is standing right there. That's not sorry. That's not a man. It's not. A real woman wants a real man that's going to stand on his flat 10 toes down. I said this. That's it. And even being not even being boisterous and loud because I'm being loud right now because I'm passionate, as my husband said. Not even that. My stepdad used to come in the house very quiet. What's this here? My grandfathers, all of them. What's going on? An order came to the house.
Yep.
Period.
That's scary. That's scary. I remember my dad. My dad was just like, "I need to talk to you." That's some That's scary.
Look,
And not
I
even
always,
have fear, a healthy
I,
fear.
I always say this, man. I remember the one time I got off of work, walked in the house, and she's disciplining our child. I dropped my lunch bag, joined right in. Then afterwards, everything is done. I pulled it to the side. Why are we disciplining him again? And I'm co-signing like, yeah, you better not this, that, and the third. Soon as she walked away. So why were we? But this tells you, man, the crux of these conversations. What does it tell you? What is all of us getting at? Parenting requires two people. So all this, I can be a single mom, I could be a single dad, yada yada. Parenting is designed to be done by two people. That's why it takes two.
I agree.
That's why it takes two.
I have to jump in. I have to agree with Leland because I feel as though like with our boys, I say this all the time to my husband, when he's the baby age, that's when we are like front and center. When they're toddlers and they're learning the world and they're understanding things. Mom is the star, the coach, she's the one that's running the show. When they hit a certain age, and my husband's gonna disagree with me, but when they hit a certain age, that's when it's like, listen, your daddy, wait till your dad get home. Like, because after a while, we have to learn how to pass that baton. Because yes, we're nurturers. So we have to show our sons love, understanding what a woman's love is, all that stuff. So we do we teach them at a younger age, at the baby age. And then when they progressively start to feel themselves a little bit, that's when dad come in like, listen, I don't know what you're doing, but tag me in, coach. All right, so now we swap. That's when it comes down to that, and we get on the same accord on both ends, growing, raising them as kids, and then also when the father picks it up as a mom, I have to follow my husband too. I have to follow him according to because he understands that better. Baby, you gonna say something?
I want to say
Yeah,
this.
so
What did I?
children start learning at an early age. They start learning between like soon as they born. Like the brain development, the majority of the brain is developed between the age 1 and 5. So like if you are coddling them at that age, once they get to a certain age, they're gonna want to be coddled, and it's gonna be harder to train them of my authority in the house. This is one thing that me and my wife work together very well on a lot of things, but this is something that we bump heads on a lot. But we working on it. But I feel she feels that I'm too strong sometimes when I come and I raise my voice, or like I say don't do that, or I pluck him on his hand or something when he's doing something bad. And it's like it's like, why are you doing that? Like, he's still a baby, this, that, and the third, and you want to nurture him all the time. But I feel like now is the time. Now is the time to instill discipline. And I don't walk around saying like, hey, like this, that, and the third. Like, I'm so military macho guy, but I have dealt with a lot of men, boys, teens, whatever. I have most of my life has been training men to go and be disciplined and to listen to another man's order. When you teaching people to go out there and willing to sacrifice their lives for a cause, it takes a certain discipline. And I feel like we need to be instilling that into him now. Not when he turns 7, not when he turns 8, because then it's too late, in my personal opinion.
So we're always going to agree to disagree to this. And the reason why is because I always believe in you don't instill fear in children. You can instill discipline, yes.
It's
That's
not
But
not
when
fear.
you
fear.
So
start,
it's not
That's
fear.
not
oh,
I
fear,
gotta
but
cut
let
you
coach.
me,
off. I'm not instilling
let
That's
fear.
me,
that's not fear.
I'm not.
I'm
okay,
with
I'm
him on
not.
this one. That's
No,
hold
not
on now.
fear.
no.
Okay,
I take offense to that. Do not
okay.
say that I instill fear, because I'm not
No,
I'm
trying
that
just
to.
is
trying to
definitely not fear.
explain.
No, I'm not
No,
trying
I'm
to
trying
instill
to
fear in
explain my
my
part
kids.
as understanding from a woman's point of view. I appreciate you guys feel very strongly about this, but as a woman, I'm trying to address my side. I listen to my husband, and I'm going to now address my side. So when it comes down to it, the reason why I say that is because there are key things. When he plucks them, he does things, I'm fine with that. But my husband is very militant, 110%. Like, it's in him. He eats, sleeps, and breathes it. And when it comes down to certain things, yes, there's certain things 110% he should be disciplining him with when it comes down to it. But yelling and screaming and doing all this other stuff, I disagree with that. There is a certain way you can discipline them without having that to get to that point. Because when he gets older, if all he knows is that you're going to yell and scream at him, he's not going to say anything to you because you're still younger. So I feel like there's a different way to handle it. I'm not saying I disagree, but there's a different way to handle it. And the example comes into play because I was talking to another woman who was in the military, and her husband does the same thing. It's because, again, we understand where and what came from. We get all that. I get that. But I'm just saying, when it comes down to key things, is a different way. I'm not saying be soft and oh, you fell. I'm not saying any of that at all. But there's a certain way, is what I'm saying. And when we get into these little things about it, that's usually the thing we don't understand, because he looks at it in his way and I look at it my way. You know what I'm saying? So that comes from, that's why I said what I said in the way I said it. So again, it's not you purposely putting fear in him, that word that is not liked, but I'm just saying it's a certain way to do it, is all I was saying.
Okay, so let's
So
say that that's true. One second. Let's say that that's true. Let's say that I am instilling a little bit of fear in my son. Shouldn't he fear me just a little bit? Like, I don't want to piss daddy off.
it's
Shouldn't he
called
feel that way?
reverence.
See, see,
It's called
see.
reverence.
If that's
Here's
what
my
you want to
thing.
say, if you want to say that I instill fear in my son, shouldn't he fear me just a tad bit? Because he know that he can't get over on daddy. Daddy's the disciplinary. You are there to nurture him, and I honor you for that. But he needs a man to discipline him. So I say this, right? You married me for the man that I am, and I want to make sure that my sons are better than me. So if you like the traits that's in me and I'm trying to instill it to my son, why are you coming at me for teaching my son how I know how I know he should be? Because you like me for how I am. I'm teaching my son to be better than me. And this is how I feel that will be the fastest way to get there. But if you keep if you keep look like kids can sense that. Kids can sense, oh, if you think that daddy is going too far, maybe daddy is going too far. We have to be on the same page. And I'm not excessive. Like, certain things that you say, it seems like I'm being excessive with when I'm yelling, and I say, hey, stop doing that. That's authority. That's not me like yelling and screaming at him or whatever. That's just authority. That's me showing my authority over him. He is my subordinate for right now. Men need to
And
learn
one
how to
day
lead.
that young boy is going to
He
be just
needs
as
to learn.
strong,
He
if
needs
not
to learn how to
stronger.
follow. I mean, he needs to learn how to follow before he can lead. So the first man that he needs to follow is me. He has to respect me. How are you going to respect another man if you don't even respect his father?
I'm not
Here's
raising
my thing.
my son to sorry. And I'm
No,
going to
go
say
ahead.
this one
Go
thing,
ahead.
and
Go
that's
ahead.
it. I'm not
Okay, go ahead.
saying that I'm raising my children to disrespect you, because that's not the case. Because if that was the case, then there was been a lot of things that I would have gone against what you said and everything else, and I don't. So I'm put that out there. Number two, I'm saying that when it comes down to certain things and how you talk to him and what he's still learning the world. My biggest thing is he's learning the world. He's not even understanding the concept of stop sometimes, because it's a different way of developing. And again, we always go back and forth with this, because again, you feel how you feel, and you feel like, well, I was raised this way and this is the way it should be. And, doing that and doing that. And I was raised differently, so there are different things that we're not going to agree with. And that's fine. I'll agree to disagree with you, but I still feel how I feel. Like, I'm going to feel that way. You are a man. There are certain things that were instilled in you. Do I agree with? No. There are some things I don't, but
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here and I'm not bashing it and I'm not saying all that stuff. I'm just saying, as a parents, we have a different blueprint. And what I'm going according to is us coming together to develop this blueprint to understand how to raise our children the way, maybe not the way that we were raised, because sometimes that's not always the best way. There's a different way. And that's what I'm saying to you.
Let me just
Go ahead,
chime in
Wally.
and just say my piece or whatever, because I agree with both of you, and I hear all the points
Well,
that
this-
both sides are making. For me, and here's the thing, a woman is never always going to agree with what a man, like a man's point of view on raising a child, just like a man is not going to always agree with a woman's point of view, because men will be like, yo, you coddling the child too much, you know what I mean, and the woman will be like, well, you're too loud, or this, that, and the third. Like, it's always going to be disagreement. But for me, this is the way I viewed it as, I would rather, if raising my son mean, or more, not my son, but all my kids mean they fear me, and that will result to them being a productive member of society, I am all for it. Because at the end of the day, at that age, when you're growing, I am your parent. I'm not your friend. None of that. Now, when you get older, yeah, I can be your friend, this, that, and the third. But my job is to make sure I prepare you as much for what's out there. So me yelling and stuff like that, that's nothing compared to what could happen to you out there. See,
Wally, oh, still,
me teaching you this now, to respect authority and all of this stuff. If you don't respect authority and I don't teach you that, what's going to happen when you run into a cop? What's going to happen when you run into your boss? So I have to take measures to do what I have to do to make sure you understand what's coming ahead. And if that means that you must fear me, which in today's society, you better have your kids fear you somewhat, the way these kids is taking out their parents, this, that, and the third. Like, they're very emboldened nowadays to do all these crazy things. So, yeah, I'll take fear
I got
if
something to
that's what it
say.
requires.
I got something to say. Um,
Hmm.
and I think this is going to be the man part of the show, basically, because this is so paramount that mothers hear this. We're teaching our boys how to be Clark Kent in Superman's body. If you do not teach your boys to be Clark Kent, he will hurt someone. We're very powerful creatures. And pain, the Bible says, spare the rod, you spoil a child. Pain is an indication that you're doing something wrong. It's also an indication you're doing something right. Because if you're working out, you're doing something right. But if you come that shot of fear from that masculine voice, I'm doing something wrong. Daddy is speaking. Because when mama say, don't do that, she'll say it 50, 100 times. And you're like, your mom, who cares? You know what I mean? You're going to hug me in 5 minutes, right? That's why you have a lot of strong mothers. They beat their kids with all kinds of stuff, extension cords, irons, crossbow, whatever they could get their hands on. They beat their kids with it because they have to still that into them. I understand where you're coming from, Tiffany. I had the same problem with Toya. Same exact problem. And I remember telling her, this is something I told her. I said, I don't want you hitting the boys because I never want them to think it's okay for a woman to hit them. So she doesn't. And if we had daughters, I wouldn't put my hands on my daughters. Now, keep in mind, we don't hit our boys. We don't hit our boys. We don't need to. I had David doing sit-ups by like 5 months old. So
It was so ridiculous.
there was
I
no
had to walk
reason.
out the room so many times. Look, the fireworks. No, I had to leave. I had to leave so many times. Just walk out the room.
But I was instilling discipline in him right then and there. I was letting him know up, up, up. He had a 6-pack at 2. So it was I instilled that into him so I wouldn't have to put in my hands on him. But I'm a lot more lax father. I'm more of a not hitting, more talking to, and getting them to understand, Father, you have a very rambunctious child. It's got a lot of him. A lot of your husband is in your son.
Our youngest was exactly the same way.
So believe me when I tell you, he knows what he's doing, because when he was 9 years old, he did mischief stuff, and he knows what that child's going to do before that child's going to do it. So when he's trying to get away with something, you ever heard the voice? You ever heard the joke that Bill Cosby said, where the kid is up on top of the refrigerator trying to get the cookie, but the kid don't know that sound travels, and then the kid lies and says, "I was getting a cookie for you." Remember that one? Yeah, that's us. You're raising us. So when we say, "Yeah, that's not going to work," we know it's not going to work because it didn't work with us. So I get where you're coming from, Tiff. I understand Toya has the same problem when she'll have to walk away, because there was times where I would say certain things to my sons, and she thought it was absolutely ridiculous that I was saying these things to him. Why would you ever call him that? Why would you ever say that? And I'm like, because that's what they're going to say to him in school. And I don't want him punching somebody in the face because it offended him. So if I say it now and get it out now and kill the that anxiety in them, because when they go out, so I don't care what you so, and that's the point. Because when I was out there and they were saying this kind of stuff to me, it bothered me. That was the verbal stuff don't bother my kids, because I was able to teach them, listen, this is what. And when she heard them, why did you tell? Why? Trust me, just trust me.
I think for me, yes, Walls P, with the type of temperament that I have with my babies, I mean, oh, especially, as we were in the inner city and all that, just the years and years of advocacy and all of that going down there. Like, I will have your job and everybody's job up in here. The superintendent, I don't care. Everybody, when it comes to our kids. And that's why they're in AP this now and college prep and just got to, you know what I mean? That's why, because somebody has to do it. But I had to take that hat off at home. And it was not easy because I had them. I've had trauma and all kind of stuff from having them too. You know what I mean? To this day, I mean, they're teenagers and I still have physical issues because of that. So moms deal with a lot of things. But I think for me, and I see the fruit of it now. I didn't understand then. And no, I didn't agree with him. I thought it was excessive. And he never put his hands on him. And it wasn't like my husband was like verbally abusing him or nothing crazy like that. It was just dealing with a young man like a man would deal with a man, not how I would deal with them as my sons. They come to me as they would their mom because they're teenagers and now it's girls and all of that. But they have their dad as the counterpart. So for me, it was I had to trust him. And that was hard because I felt like, what are you doing? Like, I don't, he doesn't respond that way. And I just, and I felt that it was excessive because I'm their mom. So I know them on a different playing field. I know them differently. And and my husband is a creative. We have a house full of creatives and they do anime, all kind of stuff. I mean, it's a whole creative world that we live in over here. And so, it was things that I didn't understand why he would approach things the way that he would with them. But then to my surprise, and if my whole face was on the floor, to my surprise, the son that I felt that he was doing like way too much, like you doing too much, I'm like, I'm gonna go pray. Don't you go pray on me. Like he would say that to me. Like, I ain't gonna say nothing to you. I'm gonna pray.
She went to go get God. Like, I'm like, God agrees with me though.
Yeah.
But God's agreeing with me. I don't think whatever.
And then our youngest, he would come to me later on in the past few years, like, oh, I know why dad did that. Very handsome. Our oldest is actually Lamont's complexion, you guys' complexion. Our youngest is your complexion, Walsby and my husband's, and different things he would share with them, and just life. And he would come to me like, oh, mom, it's not no big deal to me. And I thought it was going to be just this catastrophe. Oh, we got to take him to therapy. And, no, because he was helping him to be prepared for the real world and not the safe confines confounds of our home and our family
Right.
where they're safe.
Right.
Where when he had to go outside and he's dealing with kids that did not care nothing about his feelings, they don't care, you know, and a lot of them, yes, they were envious and jealous, to be honest, because most bullies are. But these things
Absolutely.
that he had to encounter going outside in the world, he had thicker skin because of the way that my husband approached it. I still don't like it to today. I don't care. I'm never gonna like it because that's my baby. I don't care. I ain't gonna never like it. But he helped prepare them. And I think that anyway, that's the whole point of both of the parents together. They need the father and the mother. They need the nurturer and the disciplinarian, because I'm now looking at them as teenagers and young men. One will be in college soon. And I'm like, wow, like hindsight, looking at so many times that I coddled him, babied him. Oh, baby, it's okay, and whatever. And my husband would just like, no, like tell him where his work was concerned and with his craft is concerned. He would be so hard on him. And I'm like, what? He's like, I know what he needs. And if you let me teach him what he needs, he's going to fare better than the ones that are skilled at it. But because he has both, he has the gift and he's taught well. He's well learned in the area. So now he's top of the top, because in our community, to be able to make it out there, you have to be the better than the best. So he's helped prepare them for that. But it wasn't easy for me. It's still not. I mean, it's 3-1, so to speak. It's a whole house full of men to me. But
Right.
I'll just be like, whatever, y'all fine now. Give me a break. Now it's all on you. Oh, go ask your dad. Now he'd be like, chime in, like, no, you good, you got it. I'm over here.
Now
You
I
know.
ask them for advice. Now I ask them for knowledge and wisdom, because
Yeah.
they've already surpassed me in so many ways. And that's what I wanted. I remember
Good.
the day that
Good.
I realized that my kids passed me. Now, granted, they didn't pass me in length yet. That still got time. You know what I mean? Like they're going, but I already know that they're already ahead of me. From by the time I was 18 or whatever, I was not where my kids are now. That's my point. So in my
Exactly.
head, they've already surpassed me. So I'm asking them what they think, because now they see life from this generation. I see life from my generation. So I asked them advice and stuff like that for their generation. So
Let me
it's a
just
really beautiful thing.
chime
So
in because
so let me just say this really really quickly. So I remember the story time a little bit. I swear it won't be long. I remember training to go overseas. I was a private, and we was training on one of the hottest days in El Paso, Texas. Me and my team. We were hating life. We was like, you know what? We were unmotivated. We was like, man, I ain't doing this, man. It's too hot. We got all this equipment on, yada yada yada. I remember my squad leader came over with a very like authoritative voice. He wasn't yelling, but he was just speaking with authority. And he said, "You ungrateful mother effers, right?" He said, "You are getting paid to be here. You are getting fed. You are getting water, shelter, and you sitting here complaining while your enemies is not getting half of what you're getting, and they are training harder than you. They are training harder than you." So that always stuck in my head, that even though we have these kids at home, and our son is gifted with both a mother and a father, there are kids out here that don't have either nor neither, and they are being trained by the streets. And our kids, when our sons, when they grow up, they are going to have to deal with those type of people. So I want them to be able to understand respect, but be able to defend themselves and know when a threat is there. And that's what I feel like I am doing.
I get that.
I just gotta I just gotta say this because I saw Joker's wild comment and cis black, and it's violence, intimidation, and constant threats, low self-esteem, confidence, anxiety, narcissist personalities, low confidence, and black cis dropped her comment also. This is what I have to say to to those comments. You got to understand, when you have when you have people in a two-parent household that are raising children, and we're not talking about, Pookies and Ray Rays. We're talking about two genuine people who are raising a child, trying to navigate through this thing called life, doing the right thing, and trying to lead their children in the right direction. That dad understands what it may take for that child to not be led astray. Because listening to the comments that Joker Wild and Sis Black is saying about, rate of speech, this, that, and the third, and constant threats will cause low self-esteem. No, let me tell you, if I didn't have my parents do those things that you're saying not to do to kids, I would be dead or locked up. The point is, parents know what it takes for their children. There is no universal law of how to raise a kid. So you may have your insight on, well, don't do this for a kid or to kids because of this, that, and the third. But I have the inside track of my kids. If they're my offspring, I can kind of dictate what it will take. Okay, I know my son is okay with this. I know my son is not okay with this, XYZ. So just to make a blatant statement like that, disingenuous because every kid reacts to things different. If you're a person into sports, look how a coach reacts to certain players. Some players he'll yell at, other players he won't. Why? Because that coach knows that player is going to get motivated by yelling at him. This player is not going to get motivated by yelling at him. So these are things that parents understand about their kids. And to the ladies on the panel, this is the thing. Like, I'm glad you understood, like, hey, I don't agree with these things, but I understand that this is what he has to do. Men genuinely want better for their children, understanding what they came up to. The way a man actually raises his child is, yes, I'm going to instill those things that were instilled in me, but I'm also going to negate the things that I didn't like about what my parents did to me. I'm not going to treat them those certain ways I didn't like. If you were the one that wanted attention from your folks, but they was working all the time, you're going to make sure, even if you're working, you're going to make time for your children to spend time
Yep.
with them. If it was, even though I love my parents, they whooped me too many times or whatever the case may be, you're going to say, okay, I didn't like that aspect. I'm going to eliminate that aspect. That's how men operate when it comes to raising their kids. So as you may see it like, it's tough, trust and believe we have the best interests for our children 1000%. And if I'm the man that you fell in love with, and my qualities is what made you, trust me, that's what I'm trying to bestow
Yeah.
onto the children.
So I understand where they're coming from on the panel. I understand where they're coming from. So for a lot of people that don't know, like child development, I went through all that studying. I went through all that. So there are certain things, certain children, yes, they react differently to certain things. We're in a different generation. So the things
Mm-hmm.
that we did growing up may not always react according to the children that we are with right
Mm-hmm.
now, currently.
Mm-hmm.
Every generation changes according to it's basically you're adapting to whatever you're up against, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So certain things that we have done or was instilled in us, doing it to our children, it will not make it may do the opposite effect than we think it's really going to do. So there are key things I do agree, but I do disagree with some things, because yes, 100% men are authority, you need to instill this stuff. I understand that, again, 110%, coming from a single mother, I get that. Like, I've never disrespected our men. I've never felt like, oh, you need to listen to me. I never did any of that. But I'm also looking at, there are certain reactions that cause other reactions. So I'm not being blindsided to what the reality is as well either. And yes, I do agree, there's certain things sometimes, and not always, because a lot of times we have passed down traumas that we think that we know we're not doing, but we're doing it unconsciously. And that, to me, is the thing that I'm talking about. sometimes we do it as people, and I'm not talking about men versus women, I'm talking about as people. We do it and we don't realize we're doing it, but we didn't like when our parents did it. But we're doing it because it's been instilled in us and embedded in us. And instead of like actually seeing what's really happening, we're just passing it on to our kids. And that's why a lot of times when it comes down to certain things, I get very quiet because again, I look at things in a different viewpoint than some people. So a lot of times, yeah, we kind of get into this whole back and forth about all that stuff. But again, I have a different mentality.
For me, I'm gonna just jump in real quick. I remember when our oldest, this is years ago. I mean, years and years ago, but there was a point when he was partially nonverbal, and we had like all these like tutors, the whole bit coming in. And then I'm like, I'm going to school for that because I want to know if you know what you're talking about. Like that was my whole thing back then. So Tiff, I can, how do you push the button? How do you, yeah, I can't concentrate. I can understand, and I agree with you with so many different facets of, like you were saying, the way that many of us grew up. And like you said, Walls P also, you know, that's how that went, and it didn't go so well. May not be a good idea. We're not going to replicate that with our own children. I think at the end of the day, um, as parents, we both always, at every stage, have to be able to come together and come to some type of understanding as to what we're doing, what the game plan is, and what is the betterment for the child, and respect each other. It was times I didn't understand what my husband was doing. It was times when, what was implemented as the best course of action to be able to help him with sign language, all these things, all those years ago, like, almost over 15 years ago now. But all of those different, techniques to be able to communicate and to function in our home as a family where, we didn't agree. And at the end of the day, that's the whole point where we're saying with these mothers that is, where you're saying the co-parent and all of that. Well, that's my child, I'm the mother, or vice versa, I'm the father, because it could be both. Just because that's a woman doesn't mean she can't be a tyrant. Just because that's a man doesn't mean he can't be a tyrant. At the end of the day, it's what's for the betterment of this child. So where it came to my husband, like, well, I'm like, what's going on? Why are you? Because I see that part in him that you don't see. And I know what he's going to need to be able to alleviate that, to function out there. And so that's where a lot of that came from. And I was like, I think you're nuts with the way you talk, and I don't understand, like, you're doing too much. Honestly, I'm just keeping real. That's really what a lot of it came down to. I don't think that that's going to be beneficial for him. I think that you're going to give him a self-esteem issue. I mean, seriously, whatever they're saying in the chat, I'm telling you, I was like, listen, I'm not going to be making another, therapy session phone call and let's figure this out as teenagers, because what you're doing. And there were a lot of intense conversations. I'll put it that way. A lot. Like, yo, I just don't want an extra problem. Like, I don't want another issue to have to deal with. And we don't get it right all the time. None of us do. Our parents didn't. We probably didn't. We're doing the best we can. You know what I mean?
See,
But yeah. Go ahead.
see the way I do it, like when I have a disagreement with the way, you know, my other half is raising our child, or I disagree with it, what I simply do is pull it to the side. I just say, look, the way you're doing XYZ may cause XYZ. There's the information. You do what you want with it. Because I'm not going to impede or stop what you think is right, especially for the girls. That's not my position. That's why it takes two for parenting. I'm not going to impede you. All I can do is give you my advice, and you take that advice and do what you think is best with it. Incorporate it to do better teachings or whatever the case may be. That's all I can do. But at the same time, I am not going to undermine what you're doing, because what you're doing may actually be right and I may be wrong. We don't know. There's no universal book of parenting that say this is the right way or this is the wrong way. We do not know. So all I can give is my 2 cents, just like you can give your 2 cents, and I may evaluate and be like, okay, let me take a different approach for this. or for that. But there's no universal motive to just be like, well, if you do this, it's going to cause this. If you do that, it's going to cause this. Every child is different.
Yep.
Yes.
Every child is different.
Yep.
And that's all I was trying to say to the people in the chat because they're like, dang, ultimate. Nah, I'm a person, I speak with passion, especially when I'm really into a conversation. So don't take it as a personal attack. This ain't matter of opinion. Erica P, I get on her. We go at it. But
Y'all go hard. Y'all go hard.
I know.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like, panels and people in the comment section, nah, it's never a direct or personal attack. It's just conversation back and forth, and I get passionate when I speak. So just clearing the elephant in the room.
Well, I'm going to give someone, whomever want the last words. We're about to close it down. But if you
Yes.
have any last words that you want to bring in, Lamont, Tiffany, Toya, if you want to guys anything that you want to say. But I think we pretty much gave everything we can this tonight, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot that needs to be said about our community. And
Yep.
it's not easy being parents to two kids, let alone a whole community. It's not easy. And it's
Yes.
even harder when we're trying to drop some jewels on how to parent, because a lot of the times we miss each other as parents, right? I'm with Wally on this one, man. When Toya gives my kids something, our kids something, I don't step on her toes. I let her give it because she knows something that I don't. She sees something that I don't. She might see something in them that she saw in herself that I would not ever understand, right? So I let her give it. I might disagree. There's been so many times I disagreed with my wife, but I did not step on her toes. I backed her up. Um, I might have had it out in the back room with her.
Hmm.
And but it wasn't no, you shouldn't have did this. It's more or less, please explain why you did this. Because if
Hmm.
I understood why you did it, maybe I'll have a better because I'm judging it based off of my perspective. And my perspective, like Wally said, can be wrong. Um, this is not an easy game. That's the reason why so many people flunk this course, because it's a very difficult test. Being parents are not easy. And being a parent with a parent is even harder than that, because you're going to have to bite your tongue a lot as a father. You're going to have to bite your tongue a lot as a mother. It's just what it is. So that's my last words. Anybody have anything else they want to say?
Um, I can say, jokers, while we are passionate in our opinion too. Big facts. And I appreciate your opinion. I always appreciate
Yeah.
your opinion. Um, this is what this is pretty much what I'll say. Parenting definitely takes two people. That's something that's not to play with, not to toy around with. Now, not to say that being a single parent, you can't make it happen, but it's definitely designed for two people. Anything you do with more than one person or a helping hand is always genuinely going to be easier to accomplish whatever it is. You're lifting something, you have an extra hand, it's going to be easy to do it. If you're trying to solve a problem, you have an extra person to help try to crack the code, it should be easier. Case in point, parenting takes two. And like speaking on like the way to parent and all of these things like that, there's always ways to handle it that, hey, you may not agree, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. That's not something for you to show that in front of the child. I'll give a quick example. My son was going through something with school. He told him about what to expect, what's going to happen in school. So when things got to the point where the boy is on a weekend was just crying for 30 minutes and we can't figure out what's wrong with him, eventually he breaks his silence. And as he's explaining himself, it's like, oh, we don't care, like, you know, about XYZ because we told you this. And it's like, no, 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 no. Son, fall back, watch TV, blah, blah, blah. Went in private, had a conversation. Yo, you cannot attack him like this. This is a sensitive situation like this. We need to actually put our our psychiatrist hat on and listen, not attack. Can you do that? Yes, I can. We go back upstairs. I'm observing. I see the direction that things are going. Fall back. Let me handle this and take notes on how I handle this. The way she saw that I handled it made her see things in a different light. Case in point, even though I'm the parent that's the tough one, that's, yeah, firm, I know when to switch hats, just like she know when to switch hats. But there are certain things that you're stuck in your ways that now you have to learn and be taught how to do X, Y, Z. And that's where two parents come in and learn and feed off of each other. So, two-parent household, it's a lot easier because that parent can reel you in, and you need to sometimes be reeled in sometimes. So, that's just my food for thought. And this whole, I can be a single parent, like I said, all that's doing is just destroying our society. Not to say it's not possible to raise a good kid, but there's a reason why kids in single parent homes wind up 70% in the penitentiary. So that's my last one.
I actually am, as my husband says, I'm actually complete. Um, I think that I let the lion roar enough this evening. When it comes to that with the kids and parents and our responsibilities. But this has been awesome. I'm looking forward to next time.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, so my final words is just like I appreciate being on you guys' show. I appreciate everybody in the comments. I just appreciate this engaging in these intellectual conversations. I definitely feel honored to be on this panel with all of you guys, even the people that's in the chat. So thank all of you. And I also want to say that us fighting each other about color, about who got a bigger house, about all these different things is by design. And once we figure that out and we come together and we they say that enemy is my friend. If we come together and fight the real enemy, then I think that our culture will have a better society.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I just have like just bullet points to say: hold people accountable, stand up and be different, and also two-parent households is a must. That's all I got to say from summing it all up. And I thank everybody for watching as well as contributing and getting their input. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate you guys for letting us have this platform where we can be able to do this. I think this is going to be excellent. I think people need to hear a lot of the stuff that we do all have to say, and I feel as though this is going to really go somewhere.
For sure.
Just the last
Well,
thing I want to. Just the
you
last thing
got
I want to
another
say
last
before
thing to say?
yeah. Just the last thing is I know we're multi-streaming this on different platforms, so if anybody want to give a shout out to their
Oh
Facebook
yeah,
group
you're
or their
right.
YouTube
I
channel,
forget that
definitely
part.
shout it out. Me, I'm Walls P, one half of Matter of Opinion. So if you're watching from the other platforms, you could definitely follow our content on Matter of Opinion on YouTube. Type in Matter of Opinion, we'll be right there on top. It's a debate show, and we also do crime like crime biographies, so to speak. We got one video on Diddy breaking down, his rise and fall. So definitely check the channel out. You'll see some interesting conversations, some interesting debates. You may get pissed off, whatever the case may be, but you definitely will be entertained and look at things from a different perspective. So again,
you most definitely will get pissed off. That's for sure.
Put that disclaimer in there.
Yes, sir. But isn't it fun?
Yes.
Go.
It's therapeutic, man.
Yes, yes. So go ahead. I guess shout out you guys platform too.
All right, so I'm one half of the Soul Sapiosexual podcast. On our podcast, we talk about relationship things, like all things relationships, how to treat your lady, how to treat your husband, finances. We go in on each other because we are two Virgos, same birthday, and we are highly opinionated. So yeah, if you want to come over there, and get pissed off, come on over to Soul Sapiosexual Podcast, where attraction transcends physicality and sparks fly during engaging conversations.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
I'm the other half, and my husband kind of summarized everything up, so I really don't have anything else to say. But pretty much what he said.
Right.
Oh, just tell them where they could reach you, where they could reach you at. Because I know
So you can reach us on all social media platforms. We really big on TikTok. We really big on we starting to get big on Instagram and YouTube. So yeah, on all social media platforms, Soul Sapiosexual Podcast. Please tune in. Please show your support. I appreciate all of you.
Well, you know where we are. This is the Gary Lamb Network. And I'm one half of the Gary Lamb Network.
And I am Lady Lamb. Thank you all for being here tonight.
You guys have a good one.